amazing to see. Okay, great. I'd say that the meeting is being recorded. Great. So as I was saying, it's amazing for us to see that some of the business, the entrepreneurs that we helped to develop about years, I mean, quite many years ago, are here today to present their consolidated products and services. And in that sense, I'm convinced that in the years to come, more will be the organizations joining this community and contributing to the mitigation of climate change, the prevention of waste generation, and of course, the creation of many initiatives contributing to a better economy and a more sustainable and green economy. All of you are a great inspiration and a lead example for the people like us that try to contribute every day to put our small grain of sand in order to make our planet a better place to live, because that's what this community is about learning, sharing, cooperating, and most importantly, working towards an economic system that can be beneficial not only for our economy, but also for our planet and the generations to come. So without any further dilation, I would like to pass the floor to the moderator, our colleague Ahmed Yassin, to start the event. So thank you very much for your presence, and I hope that you will make the best of it. Thank you very much, switchers.
Thank you. Thank you, Enrique.
Thank you very much, Enrique. It's very nice words to start with. A very brilliant session, and welcome to the second session, and second edition of the Switchers Talk. And it's very important to have all the switchers going together and representing their ideas and exchanging ideas. I think the Switchers is one of the greatest platforms to fill the gaps of our communities, which need more work and social impact in terms of climate change or in terms of green entrepreneurship and other things. So I'm very happy to introduce first Mr. Khalil about a very important thing that we have to show us, which is the manifesto and the LinkedIn new page. And this is the what we call it, the jewelry of 2022 and something new. So would love to start with you, Khalil. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Ahmed. Hi, everyone. I'm very happy to reach out with you today. It's a pleasure. And I've been working with the Switchers since 2016. I know some of you very, very well. And I missed those days where we used to meet in person. You remember? Like before, but hopefully we will do it again this year during the SwitchMed Connect planned in November. Just in case there are new switchers in the audience or a new green entrepreneur, I would like to briefly introduce the community, its vision, and remind you a bit of the what happened during the first edition of the Switcher Talk and the manifesto. As you know, switchers are green and circular businesses implementing eco-innovative solutions that contribute to sustainable and fair consumption and production models. You are active in a variety of fields, such as sustainable farming, green construction, sustainable textile, cosmetics, etc., ecotourism, renewable energy, and so on. And waste management, like you, Ahmed. In the community, we believe that our planet is rapidly approaching to the edge of its capacity to the development of this unsustainable system. And to reverse the situation, a change toward an economic model based on circular economy and sustainable practices is more needed than ever. That's the main reason of the existence of our community since 2016. We would like to create this network of inspiring green entrepreneurs in the Mediterranean region. And we also aim to support them to boost their business and ease the transition toward environmentally friendly economy. The community is also a place where entrepreneurs that share a common passion for the environment can meet, exchange, support each other, and learn from each other and create synergies. And that's one of the main objectives of this community building event. Last year, during the first edition of the Switchers, the roundtable offered a critical review of past and present actions setting the baseline for further developments. The roundtable was followed by working groups where around 40 switchers joined to improve the internal organization, the synergy between the switcher, the potential services they can benefit from, and future strategies. A series of recommendations have been agreed on together. And since last year, we have been working on implementing the most important ones. We have promised you that some innovative and more attractive ways will be implemented to showcase your products and services. And we kept our promise. And for example, I can start with the first update. And then Paul, my colleague, will continue with the others. And the first one, we have a new social media channel to promote your green business, the LinkedIn page. It's been working since May, like over 2 months now, and we have 75 followers so far. We will be posting some visuals and video about your green business, the switchers' green businesses, and we invite you to follow us and share your post. And if you have, I don't know, any news about your business, like a new service, a new product, you won an award, you've been invited to some event, please let us know and we can promote this this new thing, so we can increase the visibility of your business. So for now, I think it's done, and Paul will explain further the other what we have implemented so far, and that's it. Paul?
Yes, Khalil.
I give you the floor.
Thank you very much for passing me the floor. Hello, everybody. I'm Paul, and I'm the Community and Engagement Officer at MedWaves, former SCP Rack. And basically, what I'm going to introduce you is new updates that we have in the community. Basically, 2 new things. Main things that I'm going to talk about today are the new structure of our webpage and the switchers products platform, which is a platform that we already presented, but we think that it's really important that for the people that may still don't know it, make you a little explanation about what it is. But first of all, let's talk about our webpage. As you can see here, the switchers.eu. What we have done so far, it is a brand new structure, as we agreed in the last meeting that we had last year, the first Switchers Talks session. Basically, we agreed that we had to simplify a little bit the webpage, and we had to make it easier on the eye and more accessible to everybody. So basically, what we did is to reduce the number of tabs, and inside of every tab, putting the sections in there. As you can see here, if you go, for instance, to About Us, you can see, all different sections that we have included. For instance, who we are, our vision, our team, our events, our publications, contact, and the same in the other tabs, such as the community, the blogs, and now the Switchers Talks, because it's the event that we are doing now, we had to promote, so we gave it like more importance, because obviously we had to highlight it. Also, as you can see on the landing page, we also have make it more efficient and more visual. So more or less, we maintained some of the things I had before, like the map or the publications, but we made it a bit more visual and easier on the eye, as I said before. And we gave a little more importance to the news, so you can be updated about everything that is happening in the community, like on the daily or weekly basis. So basically, what we did is to create more news. So what it was before news, now it's a little article on our blog, and you can see everything that is happening in the community. The news are a bit shorter than before, but we have more of them, so you can have more information about what is happening. And obviously you can have easy access to all the switchers stories, so every switcher that is part currently of our community. That's more or less the main changes that we have made in our webpage. But this is something that if you want to see on your own, I mean, feel free obviously to go to the webpage and have a look. And also that it's very important that you have to know is that this webpage can also be can be found in another platform that includes not only the switchers community, but a lot of other services, which is the switchers.org that I'm going to show you just right now. Second. As you can see, the switchers.org is a platform that includes not only the switchers community, but also all the services that you can have as a switcher. Here it's very important to see the difference between being a switcher of the community and also being a green entrepreneur from the Mediterranean region that from some reason wants to improve its business. So for instance, like here you can find all the different services that in our center Medways we can offer. For instance, from the toolbox to the policy hub, you can have all of different things. Some of you probably already know, but it's just to let you know what it is, all this big platform about. So one of the things that you will find in here obviously is the community of switchers. So as you can see, we can access the community of switchers from here. You can also access from this link, but also you can access it from the main platform, which is the switchers.org. Okay. This is the first thing. This is the new structure of the web page, and now we have to go to the second thing. The second thing is the switchers products, which also can be found in this super platform, in which you can find all the services that we provide from our center. Some of you maybe will remember that we did a webinar like a few months ago, like explaining you what is this platform about. So today we're not going to explain like widely every little detail and nuance about this platform, but we're going to make a general explanation. So if you didn't have the chance to be in that webinar, today at least you can have like a general idea of what this is about. So the switchers products, I think it's a really good opportunity for you if you're not like really, let's say, internet based friendly, because it's a platform in which you can share your products for free, completely for free. So if you don't have, for instance, let's say you don't have budget to create your own web page and you have problems in giving visibility your products to the internet, this is definitely your platform. So here you can share your products. As you can see on the we have like a landing page in which you can basically access the all categories of products, and then if we enter to all the categories, you will see like all the products that we have published in this web. So you can browse them from kind of product, like let's say that you have like for instance I don't know, something related to textile, so it's going to be published here in the textile tab. But if you have a business relating to construction or energy or waste management, then you will have, well, it will appear like in this tab. So in this sense, as you can see, it's really good to showcase your products on the internet in case, as I said, if in case you are not, you don't have the capacity probably to have like a web page, or you actually don't want to spend money on that, you can put your products in here completely for free. And also it's not only important because it gives you visibility, which it is, but also it's important because in the months to come, hopefully from September, we are going to have a person working for the marketing and visibility of this webpage. So this person is going to work for giving visibility to the platform and the products and services that you can find in the platform. But not only that, this person also is going to try to find people, corporate buyers, retailers that may interested in this kind of products. So if your product could potentially be interesting for this kind of people, maybe you could end up like buying like your products to, you know, big corporations or people that want to buy these products, like let's say in big, for instance, imagine that there's like a representative from, I don't know, an hotel that has, you know, hotels around the Mediterranean, and you are selling soap, for instance. So maybe this person is interested in having like a soap that it's environmentally friendly. So as I said, I think it's a very good opportunity, not just in terms of visibility, but also in terms of having the chance maybe to get your products bought not by individuals but big corporate retailers, which might happen in the future. Then if you want to put your products in this platform, today we don't have much time to talk about it, but to make a long story short, you have to log in the switchers.org, okay, with your account. In this case, we're going to enter with my account, and once you're in, you have to go to this little tab on the app left part of the dashboard, and then go to the products. Then you click to the products tab, and then you're going to be here. And here you can directly download the guidelines of the Switchers platform. So here it's very well described how you have to upload your products. And once you will have followed this procedure, your products are going to be published in on this platform, and then that's it. The job will be done. So that's basically everything that I think that you have to know about this new platform and about new webpage. And now I will pass the floor again to the moderator Ahmed Yassin, so we can go on with the event. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy this event and you make the best of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paul, for this brilliant presentation. And also would like to recap on all points I've mentioned by Mr. Khalil about the manifesto that will be shared on the Switchers stock or the Switchers website. And it's very important to create that vibrant community, and they kept the promise. So we're really proud that
Ahmed,
you are muted, Ahmed.
Yourself.
I'm so sorry. Yes, recapping on all of the points. Thank you very much, Paul, for every thing related to the presentation. So we're starting with a very important point that have been mentioned by Mr. Khalil about the manifesto that could be shared on the website, and they kept their promise. We have to thank them for that. And the second thing is the website, which is mentioned by Mr. Paul, which is now user-friendly with a brilliant design, I have to say. And also adding the online new products platform that can help the switchers and other people who can really put or add their own products to be resold and to be part of other platforms that they cannot really afford to have their own website. And this is a brilliant opportunity to open up to a more vibrant Mediterranean community, and also part in the world to the climate change. So those things are really supportive. I'm really happy about that. So I think we have another point from Patricia, right? Am I right, for the new partnership?
Yes.
Hello,
yes, okay.
everyone.
So Patricia, over to you.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone.
I hope you can. Hello. I hope you can see my screen now.
We can see your screen perfectly, and
Perfect.
your sound is perfect.
Super. So, well, first of all, I'm very grateful of being here today, and it's really good to see the upgrades of the switcher community. It's really nice to see the switchers products. I think this is going to be really a game changer in the Mediterranean, really displaying all these local initiatives, products, and so on. So I'm really excited to be part of this initiative right now. We have been working with the switchers community for a long time now. And now it's official that we are partners, and it's a good timing because the AMWAS Alliance has been working hard as well to consolidate a good core and a good movement and network to connect the dots across the Mediterranean region. So my name is Patricia, as you can see in the screen. I'm the head of Revolve Mediterranean, which is our Barcelona office. Revolve is a communications group which was established 11 years ago in Brussels. And since then, we've been working on amplifying our reach in the Mediterranean region with a focus on water, energy, ecosystems, and overall circularity in the world. So we want to really highlight those initiatives and solutions that can really change the way that the Mediterranean can really face and solve the challenges that we have. So I'm really happy to be here in Barcelona and be working on this growing network, let's say. So the way we work, it's as a membership-based platform. And that means that the idea is that we connect different stakeholders coming from the communication and media world, since it's our expertise, also connecting with entrepreneurs, businesses that are trying to promote sustainable and circular business models, researchers. So we always use evidence-based narratives and research data to argument around these solutions. And of course, we make also the influence to the policies, since we have quite a bit of connections with the institutional organizations like the Union for the Mediterranean or UNEP-MAP. So the idea is that we connect the dots a little bit more with the solutions in the northern and southern part of the Mediterranean region to ensure better communication, more reporting around these challenges and solutions. So how we started, so the AMWAS journey started in 2016 in Amman, in Jordan, with a week of forums in which SwitchMed actually participated, bringing the entrepreneurs at that moment. And we facilitated different dialogues like roundtables. We also did capacity building with workshops, trying to connect as well communication and the value of natural resources and entrepreneurs. And also field visits, which is something that we really like to do more on the ground work to meet the stakeholders that can be interviewed and so on. Then we continued this journey in Barcelona in 2018 when we kind of established our office here. And that also allowed us to do more scientific journalism workshops and roundtables with a huge policy emphasis, which was hosted by the Generalitat of Catalonia, the public administration. And then in 2020, we hosted it in Beirut, even though that most of the activities were held online because we kind of went through the crisis and the sanitary crisis. So we did a more interactive format, which was the Mediathon that we did at that point, which was connecting entrepreneurs and journalists to create innovative campaigns for media outreach. So that was also another interesting format that we wanted to test with our network. Then in 2022, we are planning to continue this journey, potentially in Egypt as part of the COP27. So we're still drafting the agenda for that, but we will keep you updated. As I mentioned, for us, something very, very important is the educational part of communication. So we want to make this more like workshop oriented in every AMWAS forum, but also for other external organizations such as the World Bank. We did 2 workshops with them around innovative solutions and bringing together journalists from the Mediterranean region this year. We also did this with the European Institute of Technology, which also ran a competition in water scarcity with the startups. and with Veritech in Lebanon with entrepreneurs and journalists that were interested in climate reporting. So it's kind of all kind of shaping around the same goals, trying to create more links between the communication world, because we know that if you want to really market your products, you need a good strategy on communication, and you need to be in the media, and you need to really target and raise awareness through society. So this is the idea. So basically, we did that with the help of our advisory board, which we are consolidating across the Mediterranean region. So I think this is This is key to have collaborations with different stakeholders. Some of them are coming from the journalism and communication world, and some of them from research, specifically on water and natural resources, and others more from non-profits or corporations. So we also try to create the links between the multi-stakeholder approach, which is also key for your own strategies as well when communicating about your initiatives. So the idea is that we have at least one representative from one country, each country in the Mediterranean region. So this is a work in progress. And as I was saying, the membership-based platform, it's now growing. And today I'm very happy to announce officially that MedWaves is one of our members, and that we are also partnering with you to really improve the outreach and the impact of all of this work that you are advancing. So how we can do that? How can we really make tangible activities that can really enrich the outreach of the switchers? So we have Tallarat, which is like our blog series, which as you can see here is like a community space to bring opinions, stories, insights into solutions that are happening in the Mediterranean, or curiosities or stories that are worthwhile reading about. So of course we want to encourage you to share your stories, to ask questions, and to get published here. In Tallarat, we do 2-3 posts per month. So of course it's very lively and active. Then we have Tabadul, which is our kind of webinar series. It was born in 2021, and it's also about connecting inspiring initiatives in the Mediterranean. So at the end of the day, also exchanging about communication best practices that can be replicated and reinforced. So here you can see that we did one on innovative campaigning to restore rivers, and then another one more on the complexity of reporting around climate change in the Mediterranean. So of course we are open for ideas and for initiatives that can make our next Tabadul. All of this is kind of gathered in our monthly newsletter, which now it's growing over 2,000 new subscribers, made of these different stakeholders that I mentioned. And also we love to use creative techniques to communicate about these stories, no? And we, over the past year, we tried it with different video content. We did an animation film, which won, it's an award-winning film, and also participating in the Mediterranean Day campaign, which happens in November. Sharing as well what it means for us, the Mediterranean. So also trying to tackle the emotional side of things, and then communicating as well about water resilience. So you can see that there's diverse and there's variety in the types of activities and content that we aim to produce. How we use our network. So we have been establishing media partnerships, and I think this is also very interesting for you, because depending on where you are from, you can always reach out to us to try to promote your stories and your company, let's say, content driven through these media partners that we establish. No, we have a direct connection with them. We have officialized a partnership in which we can help each other, let's say, to report more and better in these topics. So this is also growing. Again, our target is to have 1-2 partnerships per month, bringing in different countries in the Mediterranean to allow this diversity, and the journey continues in this sense. No, this is our main goal. Now, in terms of like what we kind of want to achieve with this partnership with MedWaves, we kind of established a roadmap in which we can have clear goals. No, at the end of the day, as I was mentioning, is to rise the level of knowledge, expertise, and capacity for more effective work and greater impact. And we can do that by working closely in the governance level of the switchers community, like in the being part of the coordination mechanism and supporting the switchers products, as you just explained, participating jointly in events and other activities. So all of this goes in the same direction, and the idea is that as an outcome of this collaboration, we would like to identify more cross-cutting opportunities, funding mechanisms, approaches, and increase the impact of all of your work, basically, and our network. So yes, just to recap, so some activities that we are planning for the second half of the year. So yeah, just to keep you in the loop and of course connect if it's possible. It's the AMWAS Forum 2022 at COP27. The Science Journalism Forum
الكوب 27 منتدى مؤتمر الأطراف 27 في مصر. هناك أيضا منتدى الصحافة العلمية في إطار تبادل. هناك أيضا إمكانية لمشاركة جميع الصحفيين. سوف يتم إطلاق سلسلة أيضا من البودكاست، الشرائط المسجلة لتوثيق ذكريات وخبرات وتجارب الناس حول المتوسط ما يتعلق بالماء. وسوف يكون لدينا أيضا مانيفستو أو إعلان. أطلقنا هذا المانيفستو في العام الماضي، تمت ترجمته إلى 5 لغات. ما زلنا نعمل على حملة التوعية، ونحن نحاول أيضا أن نحشد مزيدا من الدعم لكي نعمل بشكل أفضل على المحافظة على البيئة، على النظم البيئية، لا سيما على المياه. نحن نحاول أن نزيد من عدد التوقيع على المانيفستو. نحاول أن يكون هناك أيضا بعض الشبكات الداعمة أو مزيد من الشركات الداعمة لتفعيل عملنا وتسريع عملنا. فيما يتعلق بمنتدى الصحافة العلمية، منتدى متعدد الأطراف، سوف يكون هناك تبادل للخبرات والتجارب.
Climate journalism, it's important for climate adaptation, to try to create the link between the two, climate reporting. And then just to give you a bit more details on the podcast series, DICRA, which we aim to launch in the autumn. We want to reconnect with the youth. We want to get the kind of old stories again in the present. We want to really reconnect with everything that made the Mediterranean such a rich region, from natural resources and from culture. So we want to reconnect with that, and the idea is to start with 10 episodes. So if you have any ideas, stories that you would like to highlight to connect the dots between the science and the traditions and culture, we are really happy to hear as well from your thoughts. So that's it from my side. If you want to reach out, my email is patricia@revolve.media, and the platform which I was referring to is the amwas/alliance.com.
Thank you very much, Patricia. Really interesting, lots of good and brilliant news. I think today we got really motivated, and also my really favorite part about the AMWAS Forum 2022 at COP27 is very important, because this year it's an African, Middle Eastern, Mediterranean COP. So we need to work more on how we can get all of these counterparts and stakeholders to be part of this. And also mentioning a very important thing, that getting scientists, researchers into the equation. This is very good, and it gives empowering, the equation itself and how to support the green entrepreneurs and the community. I'm really happy about that. I'm really proud, and thank you very much for those news. I would like to remind you, the beloved audience, that we have interpretation from Arabic to English and from English to Arabic. And next we are going to the A to Z part, which will be conducted in Arabic. So please, if you do not understand Arabic, go to the English channel. And thanks to our interpreters who are working hard to do so. I would love to go to Aisha. Hello, Aisha. صباح الخير.
Hello, Aisha. Good morning. Aisha, can you hear me? Yes. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome, Aisha. I hope you're doing well. I want to ask you a question first. You're a founder of Aisha Design.
الانتربرايز او ازاي او ان انت كونتي حاجه زي كده، والقصه ابتدت ازاي سريعا كده، وطبعا اسمك وكل حاجه. الانترودكشن الصغير.
عائشة دوكات، خريجة انتيريال ديزاين. بلشت القصة يمكن بالصدفة، عن طريق بروفيسورة كانت بأمريكا حابة تعمل إشي من بقايا الأقمشة بس بأشياء ألعاب تربوية للأطفال، وأنا ما كان عندي مجال في هذا الموضوع. الألعاب التربوية بتحتاج لتربوي لأنه بس عندي حس التصميم والأشياء، فبلشت من هون لأني بلشت المشروع من الصفر. ما كنت بعرف إنه في بقايا، فوقت اكتشفت إنه بمدينتي في كتير مصانع عم تشتغل وعم ينتج عنها مخلفات كبيرة من بقايا الأقمشة. أنا كان عندي مشروع هو إكسسوري من الفضة، فوقتها فكرت إني أبلش إشي له علاقة بالأبسايكلينج والريسورس، إعادة استخدام الأقمشة هاي بإكسسوارات منزل وحقائب وأشياء بتخص السيدات أكثر، يعني اهتمامات الإكسسوري هوم. فمن هون بلشت النقطة، ولأني عايشت اشتغلت بهذا الموضوع سنتين، كمان ببيئة بمخيم جنين، فكان الستات بيشتغلوا بهذا الموضوع. فكان الهدف إنه كيف لقيت إنه في كتير ستات بحاجة لإنه يشتغلوا ويكون لهم مصدر دخل ليحسنوا هذا الموضوع. فمن هون بلشت الفكرة إني أشتغل على هذا الموضوع صراحة.
هو رائع جدا ان هو جزء من فكره الاقتصاد الدوار، وطبعا من اكتر من الملوثات في الدنيا وهي القماش او التكستايل من اسوأ الصناعات، فده هايل جدا يا عيشه. طيب هل المنتجات بتاعتك دلوقتي وطبعا بمساعده شويه نقول سويتشرز وصلت ل يعني شرايح مختلفه من المجتمع، ولا لسه نفسك تتوسعي اكتر؟ وده برضو السؤال اللي احنا هنروح بعد كده لما نروح للإمداد، فشايفة ايه في ده؟
لا، انه حابة اوسع محليا اكثر الشرائح. يمكن بفلسطين شوي اول ما بلشت بال 2015 كان فكرة او ثقافة انك تبيع منتج من جديد وغريب ومستغرب ومش محبب للناس، ولانه فكرتنا انه هاي كلها تروح على القمامة، فكانت الفكرة كيف أوصلهم إنه أنا ما باخذ الأقمشة من القمامة، لا أنا باخذها من المصنع وهي بتكون نظيفة، بس إحنا بنرجع بنعملها عملية تنظيف وتعقيم وتطهير.
From the garbage, I take them from the factory, I clean them, I work on them, I reproduce them, I create something from them. And it took me time to convince the local community members of that. However, during the COVID-19 pandemic, during 2021, we networked with Japan in order to create products combining the Japanese and the Palestinian traditions. We try to tell a story through our products, through my products that are created from fabric and textile waste. You have a video and we will broadcast it. We're extremely proud of what you did, Aisha. So you went into an industry, a new industry. You relied more on reusing consumed products, if I could say so. Yes, this is a major challenge, not to have waste, fabric and textile waste, but to recreate something from them. Good luck, Aisha. We will show you the video.
Since 2013, determined to create products that help preserving heritage while protecting the environment, Aisha ventured into the production of environmentally friendly pieces. She has started her own line of accessories from silver and olive wood when she was assigned to be a design consultancy at Jenin refugee camp in West Bank. This is where her interest in recycled products was sparked and became keen to design a set of educational tools for refugees using the only materials available, scraps of fabric. Her main objective was to raise awareness on overconsumption behaviors and its negative impact on the environment. Aisha started introducing nature of Palestine in her designs and using fabric and leather that would otherwise end up in landfills. Aisha Design is also a community project as it provides job opportunities and a steady income to women. all products are handmade and stitched by refugees and low-income female artists in Palestine. In 2015, Aisha Design won the Best Business Plan Award in a local competition and was also nominated for Best Project in the Mediterranean Region Award. Aisha is also very active in her community and believes in the power of volunteerism. She makes sure to put aside a portion of the profits to mobilize her community to plant trees. Her plan for the future includes setting up the online shop to promote her eco-friendly products worldwide. Aisha believes that her products will make you feel that the land of Palestine deserves to be lived in peace, and the story that comes from each of her products conveys the message of love and life, which is a bridge that brings different people together.
فخورين بيكي جدا يا عائشة.
We're proud of you, Aisha. Very, very proud of you. Thank you. We would like now to ask you more about your project, and later on we will have a Q&A so that you can tell us how this partnership with the switchers was beneficial. Anyway, I want to ask you about the incubation. How was that experience? How was that an added value for you? So you won an award for your products, which is great. But how did that help you with Aisha Design? But before, allow me to give the floor to Linda. Before giving you the floor back, Aisha, to answer my question, I will ask Linda a question. Linda, can you hear me?
أعتقد إن هي
I think that we lost Linda. Linda, can you hear us?
أوكي ليندا مش سامعيني.
Apparently not. Back to you, Aisha, and to the question. So what are your expectations? What were your expectations before working on that incubator and after? So more expectations, less expectations, same expectations. So what was that like for you? Honestly, I had lower expectations, but I was happily surprised, so positively surprised. I got the support I needed. I was able to move forward in my project. So I had lower expectations, but thanks to Medwaves, thanks to the support, thanks to the incubation experience, I was able to move on a fast forward track, if I could say so. It was a very positive experience for me. Was there or is there now an advice that you cannot forget? For example, an advice that was given to you that was extremely important, a word, an expression, anything that encouraged you to work more on Aisha Design? What truly encouraged me is that when I was working as a designer, I was working in Jenin camp, which is a vulnerable community with women facing a lot of vulnerabilities. And this is what created this incentive for me to help other women, to empower other women to find opportunities for me, but for them as well. This was my true source of inspiration, if I could say so. In addition, when I discovered how much waste, textile fabrics waste there was in my region, this encouraged me to work even more on creating these products. So this overconsumption triggered if we could say so, your inspiration. You were able to find business opportunities from the overconsumption of other people. You were able to export your products outside Palestine, or did you think, for example, that you needed to fulfill the local market's demand or the local community members' demands before moving to other regions? So what were things for you? The amount, for example, of leftovers were only enough for the local market? No, not only for the local market. We were able to work with one of the factories that had up to 7 kilograms of leftovers, if you could say so, textiles and fabric waste per day. So this is one fabric. Another thing, for example, jeans factories. Now we're using the jeans as well, textile in our products. So unfortunately, local communities weren't aware of everything and how we could truly benefit from these products. This is why I started working with people sometimes from outside the community, but I added to my designs some local designs, some products, if I could say so, reflecting the local culture, which encouraged the community members more to buy the product. So you gave an identity to your products, which is great, Aisha. Are there certain resources that you relied on in the framework of the switchers, that incubator? Was there a turning point? So something that you used to do in a certain way all the time, but thanks to the work with the switchers, thanks to the incubation experience, you shifted your way of doing things. So can you tell me about a similar example? Did you, for example, have a certain turning point in your life and added value sometimes perhaps that inspired you to move in the other direction? Yes, the idea of the mentoring in itself, the incubation experience in itself was a huge source of inspiration. I started working in 2013, but I started with upcycling in 2015. So this was a turning point for my project. And I think that during that period, I learned more how to work on my financials, how to have a business plan, how to have feasibility studies, how to develop or to work on this paperwork, if I could say so. I learned how to work on Google Drive, and I think that the things I learned back then are a major pillar of my project now, of my experience now. So I can talk about baby steps, if I could say so, about being inspired from other experiences, other projects in Morocco and Tunisia, elsewhere, which inspired me to go forward, to present a better product. So yes, thanks to the work with the switchers, thanks to the work and thanks to the inspiration from other projects, I was able to move forward. As I was saying, and as I was talking to Khalil, we can always get inspiration from different countries, although every country has its own specificity, has its own context. So we need to adapt the project to its context, and we need to know the best marketing strategy for every context. Another question: do you have a team that you work with now? For example, when I started working on my project, I felt that I was alone, that I was under pressure. But whenever I started working with a team, things changed a lot for me. Do you have a team that you work with? When did you start working with a team? If you have a team before the incubator or after that? when I started working alone. But when I started working on my products lines, I worked with a team of 5 ladies. I hope that I will be able to work with more and more women. And the more marketing we have, the more women we will be able to involve in our project. So yes, I have a team of 5 I work with. Regarding the coaching, the mentoring, you got thanks to the incubation experience. How about that experience between theory and practice, between the mentoring, the training, the coaching, and applying that to reality? So tell us, Aisha, how was that experience for you? Difficult, not so difficult? I think that Aisha's voice is cutting off. Okay. I was able to have my mentoring for 1 hour, 2 hours sometimes. It wasn't very long for me. It did not prevent me from working. So I have information on my Google Drive. The more information I used to receive, the more I got to know about the theory, and I could directly implement that theory in practice.
جهد يمكن كمان اتأخرت بإني أروج لهم.
To assimilate the information, this might have in certain cases taken more time for me than practice, but it was an extremely beneficial experience and added value. What about the lessons learned? What are the lessons learned from your experience? You started receiving questions in the chat, Aisha. How can I benefit from the Switchers incubator? So this was a question in the chat from Nisaf. Anyway, back to you, Aisha. Your lessons learned. What can you tell people about what you learned from your experience? So I succeeded here, here, and here because I did this, that, and that. What are your lessons learned? 1, 2 lessons learned.
خليتك في هذا يعني الستيتس دي او الوضع ده ان انت بقيتي فعلا شغاله وعندك بزنس.
So what made you achieve the results that you achieve or the success story? So what I learned from the incubation experience, I learned to be committed. I learned to respect time. I had to write down my project or my activities, and I had certain deadlines. Trial and error as well is another good thing that I've learned. Learning how to work on Google Drive, on theory, learning English, and having to read in English was something perhaps difficult for me, but I've learned a lot, how to be punctual, how to respect the deadlines, I learned how to do the financials, trial and error, and there was a crowdfunding as well during my work, and I learned a lot about crowdfunding. I knew nothing about it before, so this is another added value. So thanks to them, thanks to the switchers, I was able to learn new things. I might have failed sometimes, but I learned a lot.
لو عايزه السويتشرز كوميونتي اللي هو ده يعتبر المرحله الاخيره بعد ما دخلتي حاضنه الاعمال.
Last question. What did you benefit from the switchers community? What's the direct benefit and indirect benefit? It provides services, communication, networking, and the possibility of training as well.
بتكون على زوم أو مؤتمرات.
And a lot of, for example, Zoom seminars and conferences. This opened up new horizons. Also, the Switchers platform is quite important for the visibility of my products because to be in such a platform and with such an organization, it will allow greater visibility for my products in the Mediterranean. Also the possibility of participating in different workshops, and also I'm present on all the social medias available for the switchers community. This gives more credibility to my products, be it locally or internationally. Aisha, we're very proud of you, and thank you very much for all the advice that you gave to the participants. A lot of participants now are asking how they can participate in the incubator. Thank you for talking in such a genuine manner, in such a spontaneous manner about all the mistakes, about all the successes as well. That was excellent. Thank you a lot from Aisha. Now we move to someone who is who were great as well, who were great participants in the green entrepreneurship. I wanted to present myself as a green entrepreneur. I've left it to the last session. I wanted to tell people how important it is
مؤسس شريك شركة بنلاستيك وهي تأسست في اسكندرية.
To work on this project, Banastek, for example, was established in Alexandria. It is, for example, to raise awareness and to fight the plastic, which is one of the main pollutants of the Mediterranean Sea. As you see on the screen, the pictures, the people who will be speaking will be talking about their businesses from different countries of the Mediterranean. Switching now to English.
Starting with Mr. Khalid Chorman, I think founder of Alia Eco Village, and we would love to hear your story. Please tell us your name, what is about your business, and
thank you, Ahmed.
How start the whole story.
Thank you very much, Ahmed, and thanks very much to all the organizers, to everybody for inviting me to be part of this event. My name is Khalid Chorman. I am based in Jordan, and currently I have started recently the project of Alia Eco Village. So I come from an environmental background. I have an environmental NGO, which is called Masar, that has been there for some time. And Alia Eco Village was the recent project of our CBO or NGO. It is actually now CBO. So if you like me, Ahmed, to tell you, I was thinking like of tell you the story of, a very brief story about the project. Yeah, thank you very much. So I was born in a village in the north of Jordan, in a mud house, which was it was 2 rooms only. And in that village where all houses were made of mud. And people, that was in the 60s of the last century, people were self-sustainable. People had, their produce around them, with some also animals and birds that you can fairly say that they were 95% self-sufficient. And suddenly that sustainable style of life shifted to almost the opposite, where in the 70s people divorced the idea of mud building. They started to go to concrete, and they started to go to the supermarket or market or shop to buy lots of things. And now the people of my village, they almost buy 95% of what they need versus producing 95 of what they consumed when I was a child. So Jordan, as almost all of you know, has very rare natural resources. So we don't have water, for example, and not to mention other less important natural resources. So the idea of my project started when I thought that this style of living can never be sustainable in a country like Jordan. So what do we do? Shall we keep lecturing? Shall we keep organizing workshops and trainings with all respect to these workshops, that this is one of them? But I thought that this is not enough. Then the idea came about 4 or 5 years ago that I should start something, that I should build a small model or a prototype of an eco-village, which will include the following. So we will use natural building techniques, mud building with stone and mud, using any recycled materials, but basically natural building. And the concept of natural building, as you all know, is using whatever around you to build your accommodation. And then we go to rainwater harvesting, we go to issues of, the old regenerative lifestyle behaviors and patterns of organic farming, of solar energy, of treating gray water, all of the issues that you are all familiar with. And this model, this small model will then serve as a hub for people to come and learn. Ahmed, Alfred, I thought that you wanted to ask something. Sorry. So this hub is, will host many people, like-minded people, where they would come, first of all, to enjoy the place. Secondly, to if they have any ideas, they can come and develop it further or implement it or pilot it or test it or whatever. So we want to organize trainings, workshops, seminars, different ideas of events where people come and reconnect to nature. This is one paramount objective of the project, that we want to reconnect the human with nature, because humans are the one of the essential elements of this ecosystem. So one other element that we would like to see happening in the project is that Jordan has many young, educated, talented men and women who are trying their best to find their way in this life in terms of employment. The government cannot provide employment. The private sector is also suffering. Then we want to help youth in the local community and in the wider community, where if they have a good idea, then of a green project, green business project idea, socio-economic project idea, they would welcome to come, and we will give them some entrepreneurship training, and we will help them to write a proposal, to fundraise, to pilot and test and everything, so we can provide them with a decent income, but conditional that this project is, it serves one of the pillars or the core values that we all advocate for: environment, social, human, health, education, whatever, So, but it's not purely environmental. It could be something else. So this is what we are trying to do, and this is what we hope to be doing. We are almost 2/3, a long way in the finalizing of the project. We have now accommodation units which are finished, that we can host people who can hear me now. They are welcome to come and stay. And this summer we will finish other facilities, which will be the dining facilities and the conference facilities, where we can be independent in hosting events from A to Z.
A new way, a new methodology to host events. Thank you very much, Mr. Khalid. And also, you've answered a very important question that should have been this next one, is what are the opportunities that can be offered to the switchers community? So you've said you listed lots of things that can be done. Also, if you would like to share with the fellow people who are in charge of the switchers network, so please, so you can share it again. Also, to check the chat box. We have more information about Alia Eco Village. We're really proud of your work, and seems that you are taking the circular economy and how we managing resources to the next level, since that Jordan hasn't so much resources. Brilliant, thank you, Mr. Khalid. And going to the next speaker, Ms. Karen Klusterman, and I would love to hear about your work and what are you doing, and also the next question, if you can tell us what you can offer by the business you are doing.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Klusterman. I'm the founder of Green Profit. And actually, I met Khalid about 12 years ago in Jordan, because we'd actually started many years ago our quest for environmentalism. And so it's good to see a familiar face and
It's
lots of new
great,
energy in the
Karen, to
region.
see you, yes.
So I'm the founder of Green Profit. We started in 2007 when I was already working for a large media organization in the United States. And every time I'd write about something from the Levantine or the Middle East region, because I live in Israel and it was important for me to tell the stories of the region at large, I noticed that it got swallowed in all the domestic news of the United States. So we started covering the stories that weren't being told, the stories that weren't just about conflict and destruction and hate. We started telling the stories about peaceful cooperation, about the quiet voices that aren't often heard in mainstream media. And it very quickly became apparent that it was a necessary voice. And the fact that we were based in Israel actually became a safe space. I know that some people might want to discuss that, but in fact, if you have a story to tell from Iran or Turkey or Egypt, a story that might be about something painful or scary like environmental pollution or saving a lake, your life actually might be at stake if you try and tell that story to a global audience. So we became storytellers for people who couldn't speak publicly, but who could share stories anonymously. And that became it was for us a very exciting time. Recently, I actually focused more on the people who have, decided to be game changers, not just the people who were from American universities who moved to Beirut, who wanted to do better. But now we see a lot more initiatives coming from people of the region, from Egypt, from Jordan, as we know, Turkey, Iraq. There are people now who are able to actually develop their passions into a green business. So I'm a storyteller, and we tell stories about businesses and entrepreneurs, but you don't have to be a business or an entrepreneur. You can also just be someone who's an activist and is starting ideas in your local community. And I've worked as a storyteller for many years, for governments, for large companies, for a startup I founded about 6-7 years ago. And one of my skills is to help people tell their stories. And I see, on this forum that there are really remarkable people and remarkable ideas that should scale in a sustainable way, of course. And how do you tell that story? Usually before I interview someone, I like to know a little bit about them, who they are, what drives them, where do they come from? Your personal story is very important. And people like most of all to hear about what drives you. As we heard from Aisha, I mean, her talk was in Arabic mostly, so I didn't understand it, but I've read her material. I've read about her mission and her passion. And I think Aisha's personal story in this case is what's going to, in the very beginning at least, drive her business to scale. And we can always talk about positive things, and we should try to talk about positive things. And yes, of course, sometimes there are reasons that, maybe it's political, maybe there's some religious oppression, whatever it is. Of course, that should be mentioned too in what drives your business. But I think overall, one should try and turn their problem into the solution. And that's what I do.
So Karen, how do you support, you're going to support the switchers? Is it by echoing or amplifying the signal of the words of the work, stuff like that, by storytelling? Is that the right thing?
Right.
Did I get it right?
Right. And people like Aisha have already sent out material to me, and I've got that, and I haven't written about her yet. Sometimes it's just a matter of time for us. But I would love it if actually every single person that's on this call right now would send me an email or reach out however you feel comfortable. If you can find me, I'm sure it's easy to find me if you just Google my name. Reach out, just send me a brief. Some of the problems with communication is that people overload. And so if you want like one of the newspapers you should start actually locally in your city. Everyone should start in their city because city newspapers love stories about, do-gooders.
On a municipality level.
Yeah, and then you go to your region, like if you have a state or a province or a larger region, and then you go to a media nationally, and then you try to go internationally. I would always say to start locally because then you can also start practicing telling your story. So besides that little tidbit of advice, reach out to me, send me a picture of you. Tell me like in one paragraph what your company is, or your idea is, but tell me like you're telling your best friend, okay? Like you're telling your friend that you haven't seen since high school, what you're up to, so they understand. And one link to a product or service. This is what I make, this is what I do. That's it, because a good storyteller or someone from the media will understand right away what they're working with, usually, okay? Especially if you tell something personal. I grew in like Khalid. That was a great introduction to his mission because he grew up in a mud house. He saw how people can live with 95% less of what we do today. That's a great way to preface it. So reach out to me, send me, and even if you're not interested in being featured online, I can give you some feedback. Okay. About how to tell your story.
Thank you. Okay, yes. Thank you, Karen. And also, please check the chat box if you want to follow the page and to reach out to Karen. And going to one of my best friends, I can say, and he's based in Lebanon, Mr. George Bitar, and he was the co-founder of Live, Love, Recycle. I would love to hear from him. And we've met in Egypt, I think, months ago, but I'm really proud of his work. Let's listen to your story, George, and welcome.
Hello, Ahmed. Hello, everyone. I'm George we met in Egypt 2 months ago. I'm George from Beirut, Lebanon, and I'm the founder of Live, Love, Recycle. Live, Love, Recycle, it's a green NGO social enterprise that started in Lebanon in 2015 after the garbage crisis. So in 2015, we had a huge garbage crisis in Lebanon. We wanted to recycle, but we encountered 2 issues. First one, we didn't know how to properly sort our waste. And second, we didn't know where to send. Once sorted, we didn't know where to send our recyclable. So we had an idea. We created a mobile application where with a simple click, you can request a pickup. One of our drivers will pass by, collect a recyclable, and send them to the nearest sorting facility. Our service is completely free. Since we started, we are today a community of 45,000 people recycling in Beirut and the city around Beirut. We collected more than 6,000 tons of recyclables that would have ended in the sea, polluting our Mediterranean Sea. We are operating 2 sorting facilities, one in Beirut, one outside of Beirut, all running under solar panels. So we are also using electrical bikes to collect recyclables. And we managed to, despite all the economic crisis we're having in Lebanon, we're still increasing at the rate of 12%. So we're happy to see more and more people recycling with us and helping us creating much needed jobs in Lebanon. And today we're just launching a new service in Lebanon where we'll be recruiting 20 women to operate 10 shops in Beirut, where people will be able to come and drop off their recyclable on their own and get redeemed for it. So they will get points that they would be able to redeem for gifts. In brief,
wow. Okay. So really like the short and concrete and cohesive. Okay, going to a very important question. What do you like a sort of opportunities, updates that can, or how you can support the Switchers network or the Switchers beloved people?
So since you're here, Ahmed, first we would love to do a collaboration between our 2 NGOs and try
I'm ready.
and open our application in Egypt with you. We already had this talk, but we hopefully would see Zahra in the COP27. What we can offer as Live, Love, Recycle is anyone who has a clean interest to any idea want to save the world or help the environment, our space is. We have 2 huge spaces covered with electricity and everything. So if there are switchers in Lebanon that are struggling with electricity or they don't have a space to start their operation or whatever they need, they are most welcome to start operating here for free with no cost. We can give also exposure. If you have a product you want to sell it, we could easily put it on our social media or even in our shop and sell it in our shop and in all our infrastructure.
Okay, thank you very much, George, and I'm really happy to see you.
The best thing is to reach out and see how we can help each other. Thank you for the switcher community, and well, thank you.
Thank you very much, and we're really proud of. And please check the page of George Bitar on the chat box, and it's written there. Also check the whole chat box for the past speakers. I would like to pass the floor now to Mr. Khalil. Will be talking on behalf of Fatima Zahra, as she's committed to another important meeting. We don't have to disclose that, okay? But let's go, Khalil.
Yes, thank you, Ahmed. So Fatima Zahra Baraj is the founder of Biodome du Maroc. She's a switcher, and unfortunately she couldn't make it today. She had a slot, an appointment with a minister, and he appointed last minute a slot to meet her, and she was apologizing, and she told me to speak on her name today. Actually, she's founder of Biodome since 2015. She's doing a biodigester, and she's offering renewable energy to people in rural area as well as cities. So what she's offering is turning the waste into gas renewable energy. And she also told me that she can offer a very special and attractive discount to all the community of switchers, like a special discount. And yeah, basically that's it.
Thank you, Khalil. And it's very interesting to hear. Also check the chat box to find more about Fatima's work. And we're really proud of how, the community of the switchers around the Mediterranean is trying to fill the gaps. It's happening, Khalil. I feel it. Like it's not just the waste. We have energy. We have circular economy. So everything is there. Also, solving crises like what's going on in Lebanon. I'm really proud. So going to the last but not least speaker, Aina Pujol. Hopefully, I've been pronounced it right, and it's really lovely to meet you. So please okay, so great. So we would love to hear more about you, your business, and we would like to know more also about the updates or the opportunities that can be offered to the great switchers community. Over to you.
Hi, I'm Aina. I'm going to start with a personal story too. I'm from a textile family, and here in Spain, it used to be a lot of, textile, huge textile community. We've been losing it. And I realized it. When I finished my study, I started working in a fast fashion brand, and I realized it that I was not good at all in any way. So I started Hugo Barcelona, which is my brand, slow fashion brand, and I focus on biodegradable fabrics and dead stock fabrics, which are fabrics that will end up in a field or thrown away. And during the process of research, I realized that dyes are really polluting, are a problem, especially in countries where there's not a lot of laws. And I started investigating, sustainable or natural dyes, which are dyes made with plants. And right now I'm working with local farmers in order to have a even more circular, use of the water. So we recollect water from the rain and they plant, the plants, and I use that water from dyeing, and the leftovers are used for the farmers again. And well, I've been here, I've been with that project just a year. I feel like a newbie next to
Oh, no,
but it's
doing a great job. You're doing a great job. So you're based where exactly? Is it like south or north of Spain? Is it where exactly you're based? Your business?
Barcelona, actually.
Barcelona, great.
Barcelona.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Brilliant. Yes,
Yeah.
of course. So it's just about the consumption. It's of course it's really massive in the city. We know that it's the second biggest city in Spain. So what kinds of opportunities you can you offer to the switchers community in Spain or outside or whatever?
Well, I was thinking, first of all, of doing a discount, because I don't really know what can I offer, but it will be lovely to share my knowledge about dyes or plants, even, slow fashion, because it's something not everybody knows about. So you want to learn more about it, just send me a mail or
Perfect.
DM in Instagram, whatever you want, and
Brilliant.
you have a discount in my website.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Aina. And I think it's very important to understand what is the slow fashion, because now it's even in my country, they are discussing it a lot, but you don't understand the concept. So we'd love to have you in one of the sessions or informative sessions about that. Also, to the great audience who've been there today and hanged on for 1 hour and a half, we can say. You can let us know what would you like to offer to the switchers community. You can write it in the discussion box. Also, if you want to share comments about the switchers, the news, the updates that have been really outside today, great news actually, like 3 or 4 fantastic news from Paul and Khalid. We're really proud. And at the end, I would love to thank every single speaker who have been there today. You've been really important aspect on how to empower the switchers community and also to inspire the Mediterranean citizens and people, and to understand what is the green entrepreneurs. And I'm really thankful for this, also that they're inviting me as a moderator today, Paul and Khalid. And I'm really proud also to be part of the switchers community as Banlastic Egypt. I would like to say my offer at the end of the day is like, it's very, if we can consult, we can give you a green consultation about what you can do, especially in the waste management, and what we can do on the alternative to single-use plastic. Also, if you got a, I will send you a quotation regarding what is the amount of products that you can order. So you'll have a discount for it, and we'll try to share it with the switchers representatives and community. Thank you very much. Thank you for hanging on, and back to Paul.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. Before closing this first part of the Switchers Talks event, I would like to inform you, that the second part is going to be this afternoon, and it's going to be from help us to help us for. I'm going to share my screen so you can see like the plan for this afternoon. And as you can see, well, we're going to have the masterclass that is going to be led by FPA. And basically, those are the timetables that in which this masterclass is going to be organized. So now you can either stay like inside of the call or get out of the call and then come back at help us too. depending of if you really want to be in this masterclass or not. I would highly recommend you to be in this masterclass, because in this masterclass you can learn a lot about investing and everything that could be potentially interesting for your business if you need like investment. So that would be it. Thank you very much for everybody that has been in this part of the Switchers Talks, and we hope to see you this afternoon and see you soon. Thank you very much to everybody.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, guys. How are you?
Okay, so hello everybody, and welcome back to the Switchers Talks. Now we're going to have the second part of the event. The second part, we are going to offer you the masterclass, which is going to be provided by EFPA, the European Venture Philanthropy Association. But before passing the floor to the representative of EFPA, Florian Tunder, I will introduce you Mr. Alessandro Miraglia, who is the team leader of the networking and communication facility of Medwaves. So Alessandro, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Paul. Welcome everybody to the second part of this Switchers Talks implemented by, as Paul say, Medwaves, the UNEMAP Regional Activity Center for SCP, the Switchers community, of course, and the European Venture Philanthropy Association. Again, my name is Alessandro Miraglia. I'm the team leader of the networking and communication facility at Medwaves. I'm really happy to bring you this exciting masterclass on investing for impact, organized and delivered once again by the European Venture Philanthropy Association. Before giving the floor to EFPA, I'd like to make a very short reflection on the importance of access to finance and how this is linked to the work we are doing with the Switchers community. A famous movie in the 70s popularized a catchphrase which was reciting "follow the money" to highlight the needs to track financial flows, to understand power relations and power struggles. I believe this is actually a stronger statement than ever, and we need to use such approach to analyze how the ecological transition is being shaped and actually who is prevailing in attracting investment for eco-innovation and circular economy transition. First of all, regardless the common narrative and global consensus about the need to transition to more sustainable production and consumption patterns, which is also the essence and the mission of our organization, there is still a huge gap to align transformational policies, financial flows, but also global chain management. Most of financial services are still funding today the linear economy and its consequences. Even with post-COVID recovery funds, most of the country didn't seize the opportunity to change financing operations. As reported by the Greenness of Stimulus Index just to give you an example, a very interesting study made by Vivids Economics, who is a UK-based firm, who analyzed public spending of more than 30 countries in different regions, finding that most of them are actually, in terms of environmental gains, negative funding policies. Secondly, the risking policies and financial policies are still being directed to big projects and companies that can guarantee vast economic returns, while micro, small, and medium enterprises, and of course entrepreneurs and startups, which actually in the region, in the Mediterranean, are the backbone of production and job creation, have to struggle to find their way to access finance. Finally, it's impossible not to mention the global context marked today by regional conflicts and also the unequal distribution of decision power and endowments, which are currently holding back a number of public and private decision makers to pursue transformational policies. The current energy crisis, for instance, and the decision to amend the EU taxonomy for sustainable finance are just an example of this dynamic. For this reason, the work that organizations such as EFPA, the European Venture Philanthropy Association, are doing is really essential to advocate for investment focusing on the interdependency between the social, environmental, and economic impacts, which are leading the way to a new generation of business models, startups, and entrepreneurs. For us, as you know, at MedWaves, these new business models are the switchers, a community of talented persons, entrepreneurs, and risk takers who are the building blocks of the future ecologic transition in the Mediterranean and the so-called transition to circular economy we are focusing on at MedWaves. And this is the reason why we have also created a few years ago the Switcher Fund, which is a mechanism to link impact investors and entrepreneurs, raising awareness of investors on sustainable finance opportunities based on entrepreneurship and eco-innovation, and building also the entrepreneur's capacity to attract funding. Today's masterclass represents, of course, only a small insight on the existing and novel opportunities offered by investing for impact approaches. We hope you can make the best of it and, of course, draw upon these inputs to design your scaling up strategies and realize the full impact of your amazing projects and fulfill, of course, your mission and your vision. Without further ado, I'd like to pass the floor over to Mr. Florian Tuder, who is the training expert and coordinator at IVPA Training Academy, and who is the one who designed this masterclass and who will lead us. Thank you very much, IVPA. Thank you very much, Florian. The floor is now yours.
Thank you very much, Alessandro. I hope everybody can hear me well.
Yes.
If not, perfect. That's good. That's already the first hurdle. Wonderful. Thanks a lot, Alessandro, for the kind introduction and also for inviting EVPA again to host this masterclass. It's a wonderful opportunity also for us to share with the entrepreneurs a little bit the perspective how the investors' minds work, because there needs to be this mutual understanding, obviously, to make to create impactful projects. So I would like to just start by sharing my screen so we can kick off this masterclass. I'll give you a short overview of what awaits you. I think you had already a program here, just a brief overview. So it's all about investing for impact today. And you see, I divided this a little bit into 3 chunks. The first part will be the fundamentals, where I give you a short but hopefully insightful introduction to what investing for impact means. And then we switch from the fundamentals into the practice. So there we will then see how 2 of our member organizations to investors from the Mediterranean region, how they implement the investing for impact approach together with their investees and grantees. We'll have a short break. It will be around 3:30. So we have 10 minutes to get some fresh air or coffee. I know it's the afternoon. We all had just lunch, so we will try to have this as interactive as possible and as interesting as possible. And we will finish the masterclass with the conversation. So there we enter a discussion, a panel discussion, but also a discussion with all of you together with our presenters of today, and then we'll wrap up and close the session. So, but before we get started, I would like to briefly introduce who is here in the room with you today. So, Alessandro, thank you already for the introduction. My name is Florian Tuda. Together with me here is my colleague Martin Blom. He is the Impact Funds Initiative Lead at EVPA, and he will be here to support with questions, with discussions, and most importantly, he will also host the panel discussion at the end of the session. And then we have two exceptional speakers who will join us in the course of the next half an hour. There is Zeynep Farfeh. She is the Senior Project Manager at Yunus Social Business Tunisia Impact Partner. She will be the first one who is going to present around 3 o'clock. And then we'll have Mirna Atalla. She is the Executive Director of Alphanar. She will come to join us after the coffee break. So these are really two very interesting organizations and EVPA partners, and we're really excited to hear how they implement the Investing for Impact approach. I will introduce them then properly when it's their turn. But now let's get started and see if everybody is awake after lunch. So I would like to introduce a function here on Zoom that makes it a little bit more interactive. Yeah? So this is the Annotate function. And I would like to invite you to try this now, everybody who is in the room. So you can hover to the top of the screen with your mouse, and there should be a panel, like a small panel coming down that says View Options. And if you click on View Options, there should be another option pop up that's called Annotation. And once you click on Annotation, another panel will show up, and there you can select the Stamp function. And once you select the Stamp function, you can directly stamp on the screen that you see here. You can directly stamp on my slides. Thank you, Alessandro. You're the first one to try. Let's give it a try here, just on this slide, to see how it works. Okay, that looks quite good. It might be for some that this option is not available, but I will ask some questions in a moment. You can also use the chat, obviously, but it's a bit nicer if we use this Annotate function. Well, I see it works more or less. Let's give it a first try with the first question to start. And my first question to you is, where are you currently based? So I think this is a very diverse community. Use this Annotate function, the annotation function, and pick the place where you're currently based on this map so we get a little idea. I see already people in Spain, in the Netherlands, in Lebanon, Tunisia. You can also use the chat if the annotation doesn't work. But I think let's leave it like this for the moment. Looks in any case like a diverse group, and I will quickly clean the screen of all the drawings, and then we move on to the next one. And the next question is, what kind of organization do you represent? So we have about 22 participants in the room, and I would like to know, do you represent a social entrepreneur, a green entrepreneur, a business support organization, or maybe an investor, a foundation, a bank, a capital provider, maybe, if you want, in the broader sense? Okay, we have social entrepreneurs, green entrepreneurs, something in between. All right, business support organizations. Okay, well, we cover a large part. So again, it's always nice to have a broad community and a broad variety in the room. This will help us to get interesting insights during the conversation, I think. Okay, thanks a lot for this little exercise. We're going to need this a little bit later. I will clean the screen now again, and then I would say that we can get started with the fundamentals. So I will give you now in the next 15-20 minutes a short introduction into what investing for impact means. Venture philanthropy or investing for impact. So our definition at EVPA is that venture philanthropy is a high engagement, long-term approach whereby an investor for impact supports social purpose organizations, for example, entrepreneurs, green or social entrepreneurs, to maximize their impact. So I have these 3 points here are really important. It's high engagement, long-term, and maximizing impact. So this is really at the core of what venture philanthropy and investing for impact means. If we look a little bit at the ecosystem, so if you think, okay, there is investing for impact, maybe you've heard social investment, you have heard impact investing, grant making, etc. So there are many, many terms, and I would like to help you to orientate yourself a little bit around this impact ecosystem or the spectrum of capital. So just to clarify some terminology and what it really means. So on the very right here, you have traditional investing. Yeah, and on the very left here, you have traditional grant making. And as you can guess, investing for impact is somewhere in the middle. So let's have a look. There is also investing for impact, as I just said, investing with impact, and I will explain what the difference is in a moment. And then we have sustainable and responsible investing. But let's focus on the left part of this spectrum, traditional grant making, investing for and investing with impact. And there you have more categories like social investment, impact investing, and engaged grant making. And with engaged grant making, you already see what I've just said a slide before, that investing for impact is a high engagement approach. So you have these investors, if you want to call them, and also including grant makers. And these investors, they provide financial, but also non-financial support to their investees and grantees. And there are different levels where they can support. So one, for example, is that highly engaged grant makers, so between traditional grant making and investing for impact, they support social purpose organizations, for example, enterprises, that will never be financially sustainable. And you already see here, never financially sustainable, it will be hard for an enterprise. So this also covers, for example, charities or advocacy organizations. But if we move further to the right, there we have we enter the investing for impact space, more prominently the social investment part. And these support SPOs with a potentially financially sustainable business model. And if we move further, they support SPOs with a proven financial business model, or even traditional businesses with an intentional social impact. So you see here different stages of development of SPOs, of investees, grantees, enterprises, whatever you might call them. We call them usually SPOs, social purpose organizations. And we are focusing today on this part here. So from grant making to investing for impact to investing with impact, and how these approaches can support social purpose organizations. So if we look at those two, so investing for impact and investing with impact, what is actually the difference like in practice? So investors for impact, they are highly engaged, as I said, grant makers or investors. They support innovative solutions for pressing societal and environmental issues. They also take risks that most other actors, most other investors or grant makers in the market are not prepared to take or are not willing to take. And as I said before, they provide financial, but also in-depth non-financial support. And the role in the ecosystem of investors for impact is to scale, is to test and scale new solutions, supporting SPOs with no market outlet or a limited market outlet or a developing market outlet, and to build social infrastructures. Whereas investors with impact, they need to have a certain guarantee of financial return along social impact. This is not the case necessarily for investors with impact. It's nice to have, obviously, but for investors with impact, there needs to be a certain financial guarantee. What is central for both of these kinds of investors is that there needs to be a social impact. Investors with impact invest in proven solutions and organizations with viable business models, and they usually also have a larger pool of access to a larger pool of resources. That's what it's called. And their role in the ecosystem is to scale these proven business models and making sure that impact considerations are part of all the investment decisions. So from deal structuring, from due diligence, from impact in management up to exit, all these stages you are aware of, impact has to take center stage for both of these investors. And it's also important to mention that these approaches, they do not exclude themselves. These are really complementary approaches. So we have investing for impact and investing with impact. They are complementary, and what they also have in common are three core practices that are really important for these kinds of investors, which is impact measurement and management, a term that I'm sure you've heard a lot of times before already. It is a hot topic in the field. Then we have tailored financing and non-financial support. So these are the three core practices of investing for impact. Let's have a look at those one after the other very quickly. So impact measurement and management, or IMM, means to measure and monitor the change created by an organization's activities using this information and data to refine activities in order to increase positive outcome, positive impact, and reduce potential negative ones. We can have the best intentions, but sometimes we have a positive impact, but there can be also a negative impact, an unintended one, obviously. But IMM, impact measurement and management, wants to help us to maximize the social outcomes, the positive outcomes, the positive impact, and reduce the negative one. EVPA, in order to help investors, but also investees and grantees to move or to implement IMM properly, we developed a 5-steps approach that you see here now on the screen. And these 5 steps include, first of all, to set objectives. What do I want to achieve with my investment? Then I need to have a look at the stakeholders. Who are all the stakeholders involved? And this goes beyond the investee and the investor, obviously. There can be different other stakeholders like final beneficiaries, boards of directors, or other actors that are relevant in the broader field of this investment that need to be taken into account. So analyzing stakeholders. Then 3, measuring and monitoring the results, obviously. Then 4th, to verify and value the impact. It's exactly this what I just said, is to make sure that we verify and value which change, which positive impact created is down to us. How did we really contribute to this? Or would something like a positive outcome have happened anyway? So we need to also make sure it's really down to us, this positive impact. And then we come to the reporting, obviously. And what is important, what I would like to stress, is that this whole process is a cycle. Yeah, so it's not a linear process. So after the reporting, maybe after verifying and valuing, you see together with the investor that things didn't work out as they should worked out. And then you have the reporting, but then there's always a chance to start over again. It's a learning process in the end. So this is really important, these 5 steps, and that it is a cycle that can be started from the beginning, or obviously refining one of the 5 steps. In order to dive deeper, EVPA published 2 publications. One is our practical guide on measuring and managing impact, which is basically the standard publication where you would find all detailed information on all these 5 steps. And then very recently, we also published a guide on how to integrate impact and impact measurement and management considerations throughout the whole investment journey, as I said, from the beginning of an investment up until exit. So these are 2 publications I recommend. You will get the slides, obviously, after this masterclass, and there you will find the links to access these publications. Let's move on to tailored financing. This is a second core practice. And under tailored financing, we understand choosing the most suitable financial instrument to support an SBO. Well, it says already in the name. These suitable financial instruments, they can include a big variety, like you see it here: grants, debt, loan, equity, hybrid financial instruments, or blended financial instruments, etc. So it really depends on a couple of factors relating to the investor, which instruments are available, but also it relates to the SPO. And the business model and the stage of development, for example. And obviously the risk. This is also here written on this slide. So risk, business model of the SPO, and what is available to the investor. And you see this here. We again developed a framework on this, which includes 3 steps. So first of all, to assess as investor, which financial instruments do I have available? Then second, let's have a look what the SPO or the social or green enterprise needs, which would be the most suitable instrument to support an organization at any given stage of development. And then third, the task is to match the goals of the investor and the needs of the SPO. Also here, I can recommend one publication that you will find on our website, which really dives deep into how this is done in practice and what are the practical considerations behind this approach of tailored financing. And then we move to the third one. The third core practice is non-financial support. And non-financial support means to provide support services to an SPO in order, again, to maximize the impact. Then secondly, to increase financial sustainability. And thirdly, to strengthen its organizational resilience. So these are the 3 core goals of non-financial support. And you guessed it right by now, we developed a framework for this at EVPA. We are again back to the 5 steps. And this framework, in order to deploy non-financial support, looks like this. So first of all, you map the investor's assets. So what, as an investor, what can I actually offer? What kind of non-financial support can I give? And then secondly, similar with tailored financing, if you remember, is to assess the needs of the SPO. So maybe I have the capacity to provide a lot of support in organizational resilience or financial management, but the SPO actually doesn't need it. So there we need to think, are we a good match? And then the third point is, the third step is to develop the non-financial support plan, ideally together. So what I said before at the very beginning, that venture philanthropy and investing for impact is a high engagement approach. This means that the investor highly engages with the SPO, with the enterprise, for example. And this comes out here quite clearly that you say you develop this plan also together, because then it goes to the delivery of the non-financial support, which is the 4th step. And then 5, to assess and value the impact. So this is very similar then to the 5 steps framework as with impact measurement and management. So also here, you see it's a cycle again. So you can see, okay, you have one round of the provision of non-financial support. If you want to say it very, very easily and simply, and you see it didn't quite work so well, you ideally have a highly engaged relationship with the investor and the enterprise. And like this, you can then refine and start over again or refine certain steps of this framework. Also here, another report to dive deeper into the topic. This is our practical guide on how on adding value through non-financial support, which I can really recommend. All of this is available on our website. We will not dive any deeper into these core practices, but before I wrap up this part about the 3 core practices, I just want to highlight some aspects of non-financial support, because this is often something that is not initially considered or expected by an investor. So as I said a minute ago, there are 3 areas of development where non-financial support can be provided, which is, you have them here: social impact, financial sustainability, and organizational resilience. So let's have a brief look what this can mean in practice, because it might be a bit vague. So non-financial support in terms of social impact can mean that the investor or the grant maker can support the SPO, the enterprise, with the development of a theory of change, with an impact strategy, a larger impact strategy, or with IMM, with impact measurement and management. Then we have financial sustainability. So there an investor could provide support in terms of fundraising, revenue strategy, or financial management. I will not go into all these points. Again, you can review this after the class, but there are many, many aspects where an investor for impact could actually really support in terms of financial sustainability through non-financial support. And then we have the organizational resilience. So here we speak about support in terms of human capital or governance. How do I set up a board, for example, or also just HR related issues? Yeah, also here support can be given. And then there is this large part that is called generic support. And this is a very broad field. You see it at the bottom of the screen here. So from strategic support, consulting, general management advice, business strategy, advice on new products, etc., up to operational support, where we speak about marketing or very hands-on things like legal advice, for example, or technical assistant, IT advice, estate management. So really these things. So you see, it's really a broad field what non-financial support can mean. So this just a very brief touch on the 3 core practices of investing for impact. And I want to close this short presentation with the Charter of Investors for Impact. So you see here 10 principles that are key to understand investors for impact. These are guiding principles, and we call them our DNA of investors for impact. They have been developed together with our knowledge center here in Brussels, where we are based as EVPA, our internal think tank, if you want, together with our member organizations. As you might know, EVPA is a network of investors. We have about 300 members all across Europe. And so together with them, we developed these 10 principles that are really at the core of what Investors for Impact are doing. And as you see here, number 5, 6, and 7, these principles, if you have a close look, you just got to know them a little bit better. Here are the 3 core practices of investing for impact also embedded into this charter. There is, again, a link to discover more and how our members implement these 10 principles. So I invite you to have a look at this after the class. All right. So I hope it's always a bit difficult, obviously, because I only see my slides and I hear myself speaking. So I hope everybody is still awake. Anyway, I hope I can wake you up now a little bit with a little quiz time, because it's a masterclass. It's not a webinar. So let's have a look if I could make myself clear and give you a clear introduction to investing for impact. We're going to use the annotation function again. So make sure to hover to the top of the screen, click on view options or select view options, the annotate function, and then the stamp option. And then you can stamp right on the screen, where you will see now 3 questions. In case it doesn't work, you can also use the chat, of course. So I prepared 3 questions just to wrap up this introduction before we enter the best practices. So first question, what are the 3 core practices of investing for impact? I thought we'll start with an easy one. So first, is it impact management, financial measurement, non-financial support? Is it impact measurement and management, tailored finance, non-financial support? Or is it third, tailored non-financial support, impact measurement and management, and organizational resilience? Let's have a look. There are plenty of answers coming in. And I have the impression this was too easy. In any case, this is correct. Well done. I will clean the screen quickly. And then we move on to the second question. The second question is, what is the primary goal of Investors for Impact when supporting entrepreneurs? Is it immediate social and green impact with guaranteed revenues? Is it revenue maximization and ESG compliance? Or is it social and green impact? First answers are coming in. Okay. Looks also quite clear, and indeed the correct answer is social and green impact. I thought it would have been tempting to say immediate green and social impact with guaranteed revenues. This would more apply to investors with impact. but investors for impact, if we stress for and with, then it's really the impact that is at the center. Option 2 obviously was the wrong option. So great. And then I'll clean the screen one last time before we move to the last question. And the last question is, which of the 3 core practices are part of the Charter of Investors for Impact? Is it impact measurement and management and non-financial support? Is it all 3 practices are part of the Charter, or none of them because these are separate concepts? Let's have a look. Last question. Which of the 3 core practices are part of the Charter of Investors for Impact? IMM and non-financial support, all 3 of them, or none of them? I have 2 replies, 3, 4. Seems to be too easy, I think, because also this is obviously correct. All 3 of them are part of the Charter of Investors for Impact. Thanks a lot for this little interaction here. I'll clean the screen again, and then I would say we move directly into the practice, because this was a lot of theoretical information now I gave you, but I think it would be wonderful to hear now how this actually works out in practice, because only in practice we'll see how successful this approach is. So I will stop sharing my screen again and take the opportunity to see faces again. That's wonderful, wonderful. So I also saw that Zeynep is with us. She will be the first one who will present how she and how Yunus Social Business Tunisia, how they implement this process. And I'm really happy that Zeynep, that you accepted the invitation again to be with us. With Zeynep, we really have an expert in the field, both technically, but also geographically with us today. Zeynep is managing Yunus Social Business Tunisia's acceleration and financial services for social enterprises and startups. She's in charge of the organization of partnerships and ecosystem strengthening programs. And as a program manager, she has a lot of experience in entrepreneurship herself, in marketing and business development. And she's passionate about the development and launch of new products and projects. And she focuses on the support of entrepreneurial initiatives to create impact. So I couldn't think of anyone better to share with us how investing for impact works in practice. Zeynep, thank you very much for being with us. A very warm welcome from all of us here, and I'm handing over to you.
Thank you so much, Florian. Thank you for this presentation, and thank you for all the input you already gave. And so I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to present Impact Partner as part of Yunus Social Business Global Network for the second time, since we presented that also last year. So I'm really glad to be back. Should I share my screen?
Yes, if possible, you share your screen. Yes, it works. Wonderful.
So here I will be presenting activity of Impact Partner and how the 3 core practices of investing for impact are implemented through our organization. So here is our mission. Like, we invest in people to enhance employment and prepare for the next generation of jobs. So Impact Partner is a member of the Yunus Social Business Global Network, Global Initiative. It was co-founded by Professor Mohammed Yunus, the Nobel Peace Prize laureate, back in 2013. And since 2014, it developed many acceleration programs in order to support social entrepreneurs, to build sustainable businesses, and to maximize the impact of the supported social entrepreneurs. We partnered with UGFS in order to create the first seed fund our social business fund, which is the first impact investing fund in Tunisia. And through it, we invested in more than 13 projects. Since 2017, we've been focusing mainly on unemployment, especially for women, for youth, and we tried to minimize the mismatch in the demand offer skills of this young generation. And the investment mainly targeted businesses that provided solutions to work on these areas of enabling the creation of sustainable and decent jobs, okay, with the potential of scalability and replicability. So it's really high potential job creation businesses. But in 2019, we've been focusing more on the climate change, and acceleration programs has been developed targeting the businesses that offer solutions to the climate change, focusing on new SDGs and along the emergence of innovative technologies in the most promising clusters such as the sustainable food, clean tech, and the circular economy. So through our programs and activities, we mainly aim to support, like, as I said, the social enterprises that have positive impact on the social and environmental aspects. We also develop programs to support the support structures, mainly outside the capital and the regions and in the rural areas. This aims to support like many players in these regions to enhance the pipeline, I say, and to have stronger source of support for the social entrepreneurs and startups and the regions, because there is quite a gap between the capital, the big cities, and the rural regions. Yeah, and so we also create an alumni pool, a community around our organization in order to strengthen the whole ecosystem and to connect them together and to create new opportunities of collaboration. Here, a quick overview of the community. So we have more than 45 alumni. We have 12 support structures in the regions, part of our network, and 3 support structures in the capital that we help mainly to structure their activity, their business model, and to assist them and introduce them to the fundraising activity, to the theory of change, and how to approach donors, how to create their own incubation programs. This is also these are the new community joining Impact Partner during the 2 last years. So the main program that we implemented as the Green for Youth program, which is a program mainly targeting the green economy entrepreneurs, which is in partnership with HEVOS, with Flat 6 Labs, and with IFC. Also, we have here on the bottom right, the entrepreneurs from the Madar Innovation Program. It's a sector agnostic acceleration program targeting youth and rural entrepreneurs. It's a program financed by the European Union and implemented in partnership with our New Silk Road partner, and we also have members from the decentralized impact program. And the demo day, like of these 3 programs, happened the last month. Decentralized impact was yesterday, so the 7 projects were pitching their blockchain solutions for better social and rural inclusions. So today we have supported like technically and also financed more than 100 businesses through the whole, more than 11 governors. So in all the areas in Tunisia. We've been supported more than 100 jobs. Almost half of them are women as founder or co-founders, and almost 2/3 of them are youth under 35 years old, and more than 100 people was trained. So as I said, the sectors are very different and wide. It can go, there is some projects in ecotourism, textile, agribusiness, a lot are in the education and ed tech. And today we have many projects in dealing with ecology and waste management. The main like common area between all of the projects, even if they are in different sectors, is the social and environmental impact they're having on the society and on the environment. So when we're talking about impact, I mean, we're talking about measurement and how to manage that. And in order to do so, we developed in 2 years ago, in 2019, actually, 3 years ago, time flies, the impact management system in partnership with Mazar and Crow, that are like audit and consulting firms. And it was with the participation also with the IFC according to their standard principles. What is the impact management system? It's a tool or management system that allows the management, the measurement, the optimization, and also the certification of the impact. So it's compatible with the operational principles of the impact management launched by the IFC. So we collaborated a lot with them to have that tool, and I mean, and it's also compatible with international reference and standards. It's a free available tool that we can implement. I mean, we implemented that to monitor the impact of our organization. We're also in the process of implementing it with 12 of our alumni enterprises. Some of the organization also in Tunisia adopted this as a reference to develop their own tools, like the Caisse de Développement, the CDC, la Caisse de Développement et de Consignation Tunisienne, which is a governmental entity that provides financing to the entrepreneurial actors. So this allows the social enterprises that claim their social impact to be certified and audited. So this is the process. I'm not going much into details. It's about how to deploy it, how to prepare for the audit, and how to get certified according to the objectives and deliverables. So once the IMS implemented, I mean, we come up with a map according to the impact, to the how do you say, the accuracy of the indicators, and also a theory of change mapping based on input, output, outcomes, and impact. And this is tailored, I mean, to each project according to the SDGs they're working on, and according to the impact they're aiming. So going to the second core practice. So what we do mainly with the social enterprises is that we offer non-financial support that we call it technical support, and also financial tailored support. As for the non-financial one, it's really tailored to the need of the social entrepreneur. So we start by a needs assessment. And based on that, we define what are the objectives and how to reach them, and what kind of trainings, what kind of coaching or mentorship or connections that entrepreneurs need. Our program is based on 5 axes. We have the 360 degrees accelerator program. As I said, it starts with a needs assessment and evaluation of the needs and challenges of the entrepreneur. Based on that, we determine the workshops, the trainings, and we help them design their product market fit validation, and also all their marketing strategy, their business model, and many other aspects of their enterprise. The second axis is the coaching and mentoring. So we have a dedicated coach for each entrepreneur during the whole acceleration program that really gave them dedicated coaching and can also match them with potential investors and business angels. We also have the access to markets, so we help them refine their sales pitch, identify their clients, their customers, the channels they can use, and we can also help them even get and access the market and the clients directly. The fundraising is a real important act of the support we offer. So either through our investment fund or through our network, we help them get investment ready, access the opportunities, and connect with other investors, either in Tunisia or abroad. And last but not least, of course, all the networking and community they can access to, thanks to our network that we work a lot on building and enlarging that network and that community. I think I'm not detailing all the process about the how to apply for the programs. So there is the call for proposal. We go through the application process that go through our platform, given access to some video and training capsules. And then there is a whole selection process, which goes through different phases, going through a boot camp, a selection committee, and then the announcement. And we have then after that the engagement strategy. So the entrepreneurs go through the program, and we start what I described about the needs assessment and the tailored programs that can go from 3 to 6 months according to the program, and based on their capacity building and investment readiness. Here is an example of one of the programs, how there is the a la carte program, the detail of the mentoring, the fundraising supports, the grants, and the participation in international events. Because a majority of the acceleration programs we implement have a grant, either at engage at the start of the program and at the end of it. It goes from 20 to 30K dinars, which is the equivalent of 10,000 euros. So the financing of the social entrepreneurs is tailored to the needs and the stage, development maturity stage of the enterprise. So we have, as you see here, the grants that are allocated for the acceleration programs, which comes at the MVP prototyping stage of the acceleration programs. We also can have interest-free loans for the very early stage, starting from the ideation and proof of concepts. And also, as I said, the investment for the more mature projects and that are aiming to grow and scale up. Of course, all this financial support is really interconnected with the non-financial one. So either we start with the acceleration, then we go to the grants and investment, or after the investment and after the acceleration, we also have technical support that comes post-program and post-investment. So they are really interconnected, and they are tailored to the needs of the projects. The investment and is based on the selection criteria and mainly on the social impact criteria and the financial criteria. So we in general have we score. It's based on the scoring of the candidates, based mainly on the jobs they can create, on the percentages of youth, of women, of decency of jobs, of the people trained, women trained, and this is for the, if we focus on the employment SDG, but for each impact we are aiming, and for each project we can define the suitable criteria and implement the score of the candidates. The selection goes through the selection process, investment process, and the post-investment process, and we have committees throughout the cycle to determine and select those who will benefit from the program. So there is a review committee, the investment committee, and the strategic committee through the different phases. So as I said, either after the post-program or the post-investment, there is also additional technical support that goes at 5 levels: the investment readiness, the events and internationalization. So we help them go abroad, get in contact with different actors, either partners or investors. The technical support based on the areas identified by the entrepreneurs themselves or by the experts. We put them to assess again their needs. Service packs, either marketing, financial, juridical ones. So we pay some services to enhance their activity. And we lately started an open innovation program in order to help them collaborate with corporates and co-create some innovative idea. The strength of this community is that we encourage also the give back through the community, through the different entrepreneurs. So some of the entrepreneurs that could reach the scale up and really develop their businesses and raise funds can share their experiences and their network with the new beginners. Here are a few examples. I don't know if I still have time, Florian, to go through that. So
maybe very quickly, yes.
Yes, I'll just go rapidly through it. So here, for example, for each project, then we assess the impact, the targets, and how much investment are needed to create, for example, jobs. So Scientia is working on training the kids since the early age. Rebecca is specializing on training and coding for young people in order to help them access the employment, the jobs market. Commerce is engaging micro-entrepreneurs on the south of Tunisia and to help them develop their ecotourism camps. So that is, I'm open to any questions are more than welcome. Thank you. Hope it was clear enough and I didn't get a long time.
No, thank you very much, Zainab. This was really very interesting and really nice to see how your work goes along the lines of our frameworks, and also would like to stress that, like you saw, so with your impact measurement and management approach, you have different resources that informed your own approach. So this is also something to stress, that the EVPA approach is not the holy grail of everything, but it's one part, it can be one part of the solution, and this goes also for all the other core practices. So let's see, any questions, any immediate questions, any questions for clarifications from the audience? Now would be a short moment. If you have any question, you can just unmute yourself, switch on your camera, maybe quickly introduce yourself, or write your question in the chat. That's also possible.
Can I ask Florian?
Please, go ahead, Mirna. Welcome.
Hi, Zainab. I'm Mirna Atalla. I'm from Alphanar. I was curious if you could explain to us and to the companies the certification process for, after the IMS, system. It's so interesting. I think we'd benefit to understand that.
Yes. So the certification is done by a third party. We're not the one who give the certification, but you collaborate either with Mazar or Crow or any other auditing firm. Our role is to help the companies implement the IMS. We do like an audit blanc with our team and partners in order to assess it, and then a third party come and see if all is accurate and all is conform, in alliance with the guide and with the international principles. And then there is the certificate, and it could be renewed every 3 years, the certification. So it's valid because the process is implemented, and then the numbers could be renewed frequently.
Zainab, if I may add to that, with the risk of already starting to get into the panel discussion of later. On that topic, the impact measurement that you do, is that based on self-reporting of the organizations, or do you have another way of getting the information from the companies?
Yes. It's based on first self-reporting. But also with financial audit, with proof of documentation, contracts. So we ask for any required document to prove the reported information. For now, we collect the data kind of manually. So it's our M&E responsible who collect the data from the entrepreneurs, but we're working on a more automized solution in which they will collect the data automatically. So each social entrepreneurs will update the data according to the criteria and to the indicators.
Great. Thank you very much. So I would say let's close it for a moment here and take a short break of 10 minutes. Zainab, thank you for the moment. We'll see you back at the panel discussion a bit later together with Mirna, who joined us already. And I already heard the audio is working. That's great.
Thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you, Zainab. So let's take a 10 minutes break, maybe until 3 o'clock and 40 minutes, something like this. So in 10 minutes, we'll come back here. We can just stay in this room and then we'll continue with the example of Alphanar and see how they implement the approach. All right, then see you in 10 minutes. Bye-bye for now. All right, welcome back, everybody. It's always a bit difficult in camera switched off. You never know who is still having a break or who is back, but some brave ones switch on their cameras. Thank you. So let's slowly get started with the second part now of our best practices. It is a great pleasure to have Mirna Atala with us. She already said hello briefly before the break. Mirna is the executive director at Alphanar, which is the first venture philanthropy organization in the Arab region. She has overseen the growth and expansion of Alphanar's impact strategy and operations since 2010. And Alphanar has delivered training and management support to over 100 impact enterprises in the region with £6 million in grants and zero interest loans to 46 social enterprises and the first equity instrument. And as part of Alphanar's growth strategy, they're also working to launch an independent but affiliated impact investment vehicle in the Arab region. So I think we have another great example with us, represented by Mirna, the executive director of Alphanar, to see how the investing for impact approach, how venture philanthropy can work in the region. So without further ado, Mirna, thanks a lot for being with us, for taking the time today and share your insights, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Florian, Martijn, Zainab. It was really interesting to hear what you're doing in Tunisia. I'm Mirna Atala, and I'm very curious how many of you are actually in the MENA region. I can see the names, but like maybe, a hand or two. Very good. Okay, great. I am just going to share. Here we go. You can see, yes? Bingo. Super. We, as Florian mentioned, are the region's first venture philanthropy organization, and we're moving increasingly into the impact investment space on the back of 18 years of experience. We currently operate and our first market was Egypt. Given the size of Egypt, the complexity of Egypt, and yet the needs on the impact side, we then moved to Lebanon in 2012. We began operating in Jordan in 2019. And last week, we were listening to our first pitches from Palestine. So it's very exciting sort of to hear really from entrepreneurs across the region. And our aim is to reach at least 3 more countries in the next 4 years, along with, of course, the establishment of an impact investment fund that would be regionally focused. So, this is, I appreciate, very regional, but it is just always really important to remember where we're operating and why it's so important to consider impact. This is the only region in the world where poverty is increasing. I appreciate these statistics may be changing now post-COVID and some movements across the world, but on top of this sort of 20% of the population living under the $3.20 a day mark, you have nearly 50 to 70% of the region's population living just under $5.50. And so different kinds of movements, conflict, economic crisis, etc., really create big growths in poverty that and need for sustainable responses and innovation in this space. It's just worth noting that these pictures that I'm showing you are not just random. Of course, they're from our investments. And the picture on the left is from Baraj refugee camp. It's a Palestinian refugee camp in Lebanon, where we seeded the first food truck that was wholly owned by women refugees in Lebanon. The challenges are myriad, whether it comes to education, and these I'm focusing really on the SDGs that we are particularly concerned with over 50% of the region's children suffering from learning poverty, therefore unable to read and understand an age-appropriate text by the age of 10. We felt it necessary to look for and invest in the growth of innovative, sustainable, quality education. social enterprises and investments. Evidently, youth unemployment has been the highest in the world in the region for 25 years, with numbers reaching well over 40% in some of the countries, and for girls, it's over 40%. Gender equality, we remain ranked last in terms of gender equality. And beyond that, of course, we have been host to the largest number of refugees and migrants when you include Turkey. Poverty and movements in poverty impact these communities very quickly, and as part of our focus. And now increasingly, we are terribly concerned with climate change and the impact on human development, and how water scarcity, air pollution, etc., will impact not only agricultural production, but human development, and so have begun looking at enterprises working in this space. So, big picture, we are hoping to contribute to the emergence of a more strategic, efficient, high-impact social sector across the region, especially in the service of children, youth, and women. And our mission, especially since 2015, when we became quite focused on social enterprise, is to enable the growth of sustainable, scalable social enterprises working to educate, employ, and empower vulnerable communities. In terms of the venture philanthropy support, I heard you get it right in your quiz. We come from this movement, and it's similar in terms of tailored financing, non-financial support and impact management. And the way we do that is through seed awards to help us now build up the funnel and get to understand, who the better fit social enterprises are to the portfolio. Sustain grants are our signature. It's really sort of the bulky 3 to 5 years of risk capital grants and zero interest loans. Scale investment is our impact investment vehicle, which we hope to launch at the end of the year. And we do provide advisory support to others who are in this space who may need to support their own grantees in different areas that we have some expertise in. Overall, we have basically enabled our social enterprises to increase their impact on lives by 40% over the span of our investment, and to increase or grow their self-generated revenue by 36% over the course of our investment. On average, last year, the portfolio was recovering 65% of costs. Now, we are a venture philanthropy organization, so there are entities that are nonprofits and that are beginning to self-generate revenue. There are entities that are for-profit, and as we know, in social enterprise, the big winners are the hybrids who can benefit from sort of both sides of the nonprofit, for-profit spectrum. But you can see that there's, even last year, which was an incredibly difficult year, they're moving in the direction of break even. And actually, since 2015, 52% of the portfolio has either reached break even, or we're seeing sort of positive correlation movement in terms of growth of impact and growth of self-generated revenue. And I'll get into a little more detail on this. So just to go into the process, our criteria is very broad, but we have teams on the ground in Cairo, in Beirut, in Amman, that are really looking to match applications, whether in seed or moving into sustain, organizations, social enterprises that are improving the lives of disadvantaged communities, children, youth, and women most specifically, have an ambitious and entrepreneurial spirit and drive, are working to impact more lives over time. In other words, they have a model that we think could either be franchised or could scale to new communities, are committed to increasing their financial sustainability through the sale of goods and services. We've been around since 2004, when there was really no definition in Arabic for social enterprise. So in the earlier days, we were more in the seeding mode with startups. Today, we really are focused on those that have self-generated revenue and are aiming to grow it. They have a backable chief executive and a strong management team. And this one is the tricky one. It's always hard to assess in the early days, but are looking for and are open to management support, organizational strengthening. We are not, hands off. We are really, really involved. For every pound given in grants or zero interest loans, we add 47 pence in management support, and that's every other week mentorship and management support. And I'll just go through the process. So let's say these organizations make it through due diligence and are accepted into the seed cycle. There is a judges panel, so there is a pitching forum at that point. There's a 4-month sort of just core accelerated focused training. We have codified in Arabic and in English Alphanar's Sustainable Social Enterprise training that covers the gamut of the basics that any social enterprise really must have, from a theory of change to your impact model and how you're managing and monitoring it, to business canvas modeling. And after that, we have a second judges panel that determines which 2 organizations, typically from a cohort, go on to receive business planning. So again, that is part of the offer. And that is, if we feel it's backable for the coming 3 years, we take it to investment committee and look to make a commitment for 3 years so that we can actually encourage these entrepreneurs, these amazing entrepreneurs, to be bold and take risks, knowing that somebody is standing by them for the 3 years. Evidently, we are following up throughout that process. Sometimes we must cut the investment for various reasons, but that's really the idea in that tailored sort of finance piece, is that when you get to sustain and you're really in the VP portfolio, that you have access to around $100,000 a year for 3 years, with part of that as zero interest loan, really structured at the very end, when we feel that their self-generated revenue is reliable enough that this isn't a burden, but it's actually a disciplinary tool. We have now found that some of our investees are actually ready for equity and other types of financing, so we can talk about that. And we have made an equity investment, even as the venture philanthropy organization. The mentorship is the real glue to the VP process. When you're at EVPA, you hear it all the time. I think I probably took this language from my first conference, but it really is the difference. Many of these organizations, especially the ones running, in slum areas, in refugee camps, Strategy and PwC, all the, McKinsey, they're not running up and knocking on their door. And so that sort of, that real partnership, the one-on-one follow-up is what makes a big difference. And for every portfolio manager we have, they manage 4 to 5 investments. And so there is this constant give and take on both impact targets, financial sustainability targets, and then eventually operational efficiency targets. Training, I've mentioned asset training. We do have that program, but it isn't copy-pasted. We really determine which organizations need what in the sustain piece, so it isn't a waste of anyone's time. Impact management, I'll get into, but we have developed an impact management platform, and we develop apps for each social enterprise that is inside the portfolio to enable them to track their impact and their financial sustainability in as much real time as they would like. So this is a business intelligence technology platform. The idea is to reduce the transaction cost of reporting to us. You shouldn't spend your time reporting to your investors and your donors, and that information should be useful to you across multiple partnerships and relationships. More importantly, when you see in business analytics terms what's happening if you're running teacher training programs in 150 schools across 6 governorates in Egypt, nobody needs to wait for a quarterly report to determine that school 136 is poorly performing. And so the platform enables the entrepreneurs and their teams to see if something is off target, and together we can troubleshoot and say, what's happening in school 136? Perhaps that trainer needs to be changed. Is something else happening in that village, etc. So that's really the idea. And you were mentioning, Zainab, about real time reporting, but this was a game changer for us, and we learned this from some peers in India actually. Business planning, I've mentioned, is sort of that 3-year view. It's really critical to us at the sustain level to make this commitment. Access to networks, evidently, it's important on both sides. On the impact side, we run these study missions where we try to take some of the portfolio investees to developing countries like India, like Bangladesh, like Kenya, to see best-in-class social enterprises that are facing, more similar challenges to them and how they've overcome them. On the other hand, many of our organizations need to open up, reseller relationships, etc. And we do access to network missions to Europe, etc., to enable them to also improve exports and drive sales. I hope everybody has seen this. If they've been engaged with the EVPA, this is the sort of social impact spectrum going from the far left, philanthropies and charities, all the way to the far right, sort of finance first entities in the traditional business sense. When Alphanar first started, and of course venture philanthropy starts from the far left, many venture philanthropy organizations work with just nonprofits, organizations that have grants only or no trading revenue. In 2015, so we used to do that, but in 2015, we decided, no, you need to have some trading revenue, even if you're registered as a nonprofit, all the way up to sort of profitable surpluses. I see a spelling mistake, we will fix that, that are reinvested in the impact mission. The later stage, you see Lift Ventures. This is the impact fund we're hoping to launch at the end of the year, but we are seeing a growing number of either alumni or businesses with impact that really could use impact investment in these later stages. And this is just a little bit of a sense of sort of ideation, seed stage, early stage, or just charitable stage, kind of in these left-hand side in the 10 to 40,000 grant space, the early stage, the growth stage. This is what I was talking about, the sort of chunkier checks of, 300,000 over 3 years, etc. And then impact investor, sort of already breaking even or aims to be breaking even within 3 years, accessing ticket sizes of 200,000 to, over 1 million. This is not exhaustive. This chart, but it was part of the reason why we started to push for an impact investment fund, because you have a lot of action on the left-hand side for social enterprises, a lot of small ticket sizes. There isn't a huge amount in the venture philanthropy space. There are some foundations that do sort of chunkier checks, but they aren't just to social enterprises. And that risk capital we find is absolutely necessary. That's non-dilutive capital in the beginning to get past the difficult stages we need more of in the region. And then, of course, with only 2% of all impact investment dollars, sort of being focused on the MENA region, we are the least represented globally speaking. And so there is a lot of action and need, I think, for us to add more impact investment vehicles for those that are ready in the right-hand side. This is a clunky chart, but I just wanted to show how grants can actually drive sustainability and what we've seen over the span of our 18 years. But I said that in 2015, we decided to focus on social enterprises, and the blue is our grants out. And this sort of yellowy orange is self-generated revenue by the portfolio, aggregated. And what you see is actually after 2015, when we make this decision, by 2017, our grants are less than their revenue. And part of that is because, okay, we're choosing social enterprises, so I would hope that they're, it is actually driving revenue growth. But it's also really interesting to see how you can use grants to drive and improve self-sufficiency. We are not tracking here their grants and donations, should they be receiving them. Here, we're really just looking at the sale of goods and services. And so what are we looking for, really sort of in between the broad selection criteria? Oh, am I over time? Should I be stopping? Florian, should I zoom through?
No, it's fine. Let's take 5 more minutes, maybe.
5 more minutes?
And then let's wrap up.
Very good. Okay. This is obvious. Everybody's looking for innovation. The real, secret sauce is who can find it and who can stick with it and see it through. So maybe I will just, I'll quickly just focus on this, our impact management platform. It really is kind of fascinating how the organizations are able to use it. So we've invested in an organization, for example, called Fabric Aid. Fabric Aid collects secondhand clothes and then prepares them for resale in thrift shops at micro prices for poor communities. They have a barter shop for the next communities. They have a vintage shop, and then they have something else. But what they were able to do is to link the weighing scales inside their collection bins to our business intelligence technology platform. So in addition to tracking many things, it allows them to know when a bin is full enough to go and send a truck to empty it out, as opposed to just sending, their trucks whenever. And so it creates a little more efficiency in their collection process. And maybe just quickly 2 case studies, natakallam.com. If you don't know them, they employ refugees in, through the internet economy to help language learners worldwide. They now do tutoring, translation, and interpretation. They began in Arabic, mostly working with Syrian refugees, starting with 37 when we first invested in them. They now employ 148 refugees, 53% of them are women. They've increased their cost recovery from 77% to over break even. And they've directed $1.5 million in income, those are salaries, to refugees. And more importantly, they've gone beyond Arabic. So they employ refugees from 8 different countries working in French, Spanish, Persian, Armenian, Kurdish, Ukrainian, Russian. So it's a really sort of interesting example that comes from the region, but has gone beyond. And shall I stop there, perhaps?
Maybe let's see this one last case.
One last one. Thank you
taste.
for giving space for the widows. Excellent. Our longest standing investment is in widows microfinance and financial inclusion. It began in Egypt. There's some parts of it which are sort of more vanilla microfinance, sort of vocational training, financial literacy training for widows and female breadwinners. Worth noting that 57% of poor communities, slum and marginalized villages are actually female-led in Egypt. And so that part leads to social microfinance. These are microloans that are lower than market rates. Egypt is the largest microfinance market in the region. And on average, rates are 24 to 40% interest on the loans. Here you are in the 16 to 19% with 100% repayment rate. We've reached 88 villages, over 19,000 widows, and there's a 36% increase to the take-home income of the widows. And we are now exploring essentially franchising the model. There's one other part of this, which is widows banks, but I won't get into the details of it. That's sort of part of the big program. And we're looking at Morocco, Tunisia, and Iraq as potential replication locations. And I will stop there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Myrna. That was really super interesting. It's always I'm always in for showing some examples to make it a bit more tangible, because it's a very technical topic we're speaking about here. So these illustrations are really much appreciated. Thanks a lot for giving us this insight into Alphanar and your work and how you implement this investing for impact approach, venture philanthropy approach, and how this can work in practice. Wonderful. So we have about 25 minutes left, and I think now is really the time to flip the classroom a little bit and to give the floor to our learners today of this masterclass, to the participants. I think we had a lot of interesting inputs. We heard 2 super interesting examples, 2 slightly different approaches, both in the investing for impact and venture philanthropy framework. And to kick off the discussion now with Myrna, with Zainab, and our participants, I would like to hand over to my colleague Martijn, who will host the discussion now.
Thank you so much, Florian, and also thank you so much, Zainab and Mirna, for sharing your valuable insights. And I'm really looking forward to get into a bit more to the details of how you work. But like I already posted in the chat box there, I need your help, my dear classmates. You are the entrepreneurs. You are the people working on the ground that have here two fantastic organizations working on the ground. So also to be able to ask these questions or to get these conversations going from your perspective, I do need your valuable input in getting. If you can please share them in the chat or raise your hand so I can give you a voice in the session, then that would be very helpful. If not, I'll just get started quickly, because I wrote down some questions of myself here. But don't be shy and please share your input. This is your chance. Next 20 minutes. I'll try to ask some questions from the perspective of entrepreneurs. I think both of you, Zainab and Mirna, you shared a bit of the work of your process, like how do you work with these entrepreneurs and which steps they go through. Could you share? This question is completely impossible because your programs will normally take probably days, if not weeks, working with these entrepreneurs. But like your support of these entrepreneurs, on what topic or topics are you focusing on? What is your main advice that you've learned over the year that comes back every time when you're talking to entrepreneurs? What's the big takeaway that we can put on the table from your experience giving back? Maybe to start with Zainab.
Yes. So you're talking about what are the main challenges maybe they're facing?
Yes. So you've been working with entrepreneurs for a long time. What's like the main challenge or the main advice you have been giving to entrepreneurs that you've been working with that comes back all the time?
Oh, the advice is really like to be patient. To be patient and to be like to ask for help, to not to give up, and really comment dire, taper sur toutes les portes. So just go ahead, ask for any advice. I mean, you can have a refusal from here or there, but there is always an opportunity for you at the end that will really match your project. So this is the advice in general we always give, because it's not easy, especially today with all the economical and political and social challenges here they're facing in Tunisia. So it's really important to persevere and to be very resilient. Yes. You're mute.
Thank you so much, Zainab. Being patient is always a difficult asset I think for many entrepreneurs, but the perseverance I definitely recognize. Mirna, what would be your main tip?
I think it changes a little bit over the span of the engagement and the maturation of the organization. What we find a lot with the social enterprises that might be not nonprofit moving into sort of or setting up in the social purpose company space, we often find is stay focused, because when the challenges become so intense and there's so many, there is a tendency to want to help on every front. And so we come back to the theory of change and try and just remind them of where the North Star is. So I would say that is often in the early stages, and that's also natural because it's part of our engagement, right? We're trying to look at things and say, well, where's the value for money, and what things can we cease doing, and what things should you double down on? That's a little bit less of an issue with the social purpose companies, a little bit less, but you know, I would say the focus, maybe it's the corollary of patience.
Right.
The second thing I would just say is we are looking for the backable chief executive, because they never really relent and they're sort of unflappable and they don't give up, etc. But there is a place within kind of the further stages of the investment where you have to make sure that the team around is also strong and that there is a vision for succession. And so I think that's a really tricky thing, because we, especially in this space, oh, founder, yeah, great. But then we want change agents that can stay the course long after we exit, long after the founder moves on. And so there is that sort of element of thinking through how to really build up and strengthen the capacities of the organization, so it's a strong management team and there's an eye on the future. So that comes with, of course, the organizational development, and it's something we focus on a little bit later.
Thank you.
I will also add, Martin, is how to be really a good listener and to adapt, because some of the entrepreneurs tend maybe to just stick to their solution and not to listen to the market, to their clients, to the other partners. So feedback is really important in order to adapt and in order to really improve, because adaptation is really important, resilience is important. And really, I mean, you need to have the right solution for your market, not from your own point of view, but from the other side perspective.
Thank you for this addition there, Zainab, and thank you also, Mirna, for your valuable insight. I think there's some good takeaways to take home already, because I recognize the team. I always tended to say, if people ask me what's most important for thing that investors look at, number one is the team, and number two is the team, and number three is the team, and then you have a long way of nothing, and then there's all the other things that are important. So I definitely recognize that, and with the team comes perseverance, and with the team comes patience, and with the team comes staying focused, which doesn't mean that you need to stick to the initial plan if it's not working in the market, but really we need to go on. So thank you for that. A lot of boxes to tick. We have some questions in the chat box, so I'm really happy with that. Rodaina, I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name. Can I give you briefly the word for your question? It's about franchising your brand over the MENA region, and how you can incorporate what is presented, so you can scale it, right?
Yes. Hi, how are you? Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Thank you. Could you please elaborate a bit on the question? Where does it come from, and what is your exact question to the speakers?
Yes, please. In the light of what has been said about investment, impact, and all of these things, well, we are at Book Agri, and I believe that the switchers know what is Book Agri. We have done all of that. All of the trainings, we have created social impact. Now we have changed the face of, let's say, Jordan, when we created a new product, which is agri-tourism, that did not exist before. And we have it all over 4 governorates, and we have created agri-tourism experiences that are unique in design, where people now can visit Jordan, not only to visit the archaeological sites, but also experience agri-tourism products by interacting with farm animals, produce, crafts, heritage, stories of Jordan. And with that, so much income has been created to the local community of the Jordanians in 4 governorates. And we are actually expanding. And of course, our Book Agri trademark has been registered in the Ministry of Industry in Jordan. And what we are looking at right now is that we have in a way, we are in the process of writing our own manual for franchising Book Agri. And this is the way where we think it can generate more income to the company, create more social impact to the farmers in the rural areas. where they can also design experiences for agritourism, where they can also generate so much income and create a big change and create so much and fill in the gaps in the economy, for employment, for women, for nature, for for agriculture, for climate change. And this is what we are witnessing all together in Book Agri, you see. And this did not exist before Book Agri in Jordan, not at all. So now this is where we stand, and this is what we are aiming at right now.
Thank you. So the question is a bit around like how can you get forward to the next step? Maybe Mirna, you have some experience working in Jordan. Have you seen companies before that have been able to franchise regionally, or what would be what's your first reaction on this?
So my first reaction, I mean, it's excellent. It's really nice to meet you, Rodina. We are, I'd be happy to connect you to our country director in Jordan. There is increasing interest. We ran actually a session on social franchising for our investees last year. There's a tension. Many of them want to keep control and just, you know, replicate, and they don't feel comfortable letting go of the brand in that regard. And so I guess one question I would have is, is there willingness, have you sensed a willingness to pay for the franchise? Okay.
Yes. Why? Because we have some people from France. Okay, she is a Moroccan and she has her own business, and when she heard about the brand, she was very much interested, and she has started talks with someone in Canada and some other people in Morocco concerned with agriculture and so on. And she saw that we did some also meetings online, and we thought that first because they want to go legal in this, and they have to take some kind of paper whatsoever, so that they can be talking on my behalf to municipalities and others about the brand and how they can initiate businesses and where they can brand it with Book Agri. The idea is that when you go to any country in the world, maybe one of the things that you would like to see is really the heritage of the people. And not only just visit museums, and you know, after COVID and what happened, people want to have outdoor experiences.
Yeah.
And also you know, the story of agriculture and employment and all of that. So to my surprise, that there are many people do not know how to initiate agritourism business. They don't know what is agritourism. So what will show you this wherever you go in the world is the brand. And so far, right now, there is no particular brand for agritourism. Even if you go into like Airbnb, like booking.com, whatever, you look for experiences. But these are mixed with agritourism experiences, with other experiences. And you have to just scroll down and look and see. But if you look at like, okay, I want something solid, where do I find agritourism experiences with gastronomy, with heritage, with the quality assurance and all of these things? Then you have to look for a brand.
Yeah. Rodina, I think maybe I should connect you to Zahra because we have, this is a very fascinating conversation, but it is a deep one, and it requires kind of analysis of sort of revenue and thinking through it. But it's amazing that you're doing it already. It's absolutely brilliant, and that you already have a potential partner. So
Great.
why don't we connect
after?
Yeah.
It makes sense to connect further and to go a bit more in depth. I see there's a story shared on the chat box already, where you can look into this venture a bit deeper. We have two more questions. Katja, I saw yours, but I also see that Roy has his hand raised. So I'd like to go to Roy first and come to Katja after that. Roy, please.
Hi. It was refreshing to see the spectrum. I think it was Mirna, the spectrum of left to right on non-transactional and transactional, from philanthropy to investment. So particularly because you are on that journey as well in series, right? You're moving from philanthropy to investment as well. My question is something I have been seeing for the last 2 years, an observation, right? For whoever wants to verify that as well, confirm it or not. And Mirna, please, your insight. I have seen that that nonprofit actors tend to be formed based on heart. So when you look for trading ability, it's unfair. If you're looking for the team to back, backable means something very different when you're empowering a nonprofit oriented organization to become self-sustainable. So I wonder if you have considered at the level of model, as opposed to going to a nonprofit and building their capacity, which sometimes is not possible because it has to do with the nature, the ethos, the persona, everything, right? Also, you don't want to change the DNA that produced all that good M&E and impact. If you have considered forming structures that take the impact making content and service of that nonprofit, repackages it, sells it for revenue, and then that independent structure made of different backable kind of people, right, that actually sell, not do impact, then those the revenue from that is injected through a revenue share model, for instance, with the NGO, as opposed to rock the boat of the initial structure that made the impact and force it to become money hungry and able to deliver it. I don't know, right? This is what I've been struggling with over the last 2 years, and I've seen it everywhere. So I don't know what your experience is like.
Great questions.
It is a very important question. Yeah. So you're and please, Zainab, if you want to jump in at any point. I think it is true that, largely speaking, and historically, the entities that are established as nonprofits are not they're not the ones that are going into the impact fund typically, but we do think that there is a significant and important value in helping them become self-sustaining and less dependent on donor demands and less sort of mercenary in terms of how they, there is a lot of work to be done. Sometimes the nonprofits, they get so big and they just run after proposal and proposal and proposal, and actually they don't have a very clear theory of change, etc. And we have found some benefits to helping hone their DNA, not change it. But what you're talking about in terms of the structure is emerging as something that is pretty common or increasingly common, which is the hybrid model. And there we do find that it is, and you're right, that you can have the nonprofit entity next to the for-profit entity and have some sort of deed of covenant or commitment that, profits generated in the for-profit entity will be reinvested in the nonprofit entity. Now, there are, beyond just respecting the DNA of the teams and getting more sales-orientated people perhaps into the for-profit entity and more impact-orientated people in the not-for-profit, I mean, what you also find is that it's helpful in cash flow management. There are entities that want to make grants to nonprofits, and they are precluded from investing in companies. And similarly, there are investors who will be motivated by certain registration structures. But we have encouraged a growing number of our investees to actually set up the hybrid model for various reasons, also, to be in line with appropriate taxes, et cetera, because there are limitations on how much self-generated revenue nonprofits are allowed to make depending on the country that they're operating in. So yes, and it's not just our region, it's globally. I mean, many of the models in India have the hybrid structure, and they operate them side by side. And it works. I mean, there are obviously hiccups and issues, but it works relatively well. It works here in the UK too. So we are a nonprofit and we have a trading subsidiary. We are able to own that, actually. It doesn't even have to sit side by side. It can sit under the nonprofit.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. This is the what when it works. This is what it looks like, right?
Yeah.
Have you encountered where it doesn't work, but the product is so good or the service is so good? So hybrid doesn't work.
I'm not going to name names.
No. As you know, have you considered that forming a studio venture of sorts within the fund at your level rather than in breadth?
Maybe we can take this.
Right.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Maybe
when it's so good, but it's not the same. The DNA cannot be hybrid, for instance.
Yes. Why don't we take it offline? I like this idea. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's good to take the second question on offline also to give Katja the opportunity to give her question. I think often in these cases, rocking the boat doesn't work when you try to make a non-profit organization for profit or the other way around. But what I often see is that people tend to be more hybrid. They tend to have both qualities in them. Katja, can I please hand over to you to your question, and I'd like to give Zainab the opportunity to answer it.
Hello.
Katja, are you still there? Yes. Hi, Katja.
I'm still here. Yes, I'm here. So I'm based in Beirut, and I'm more looking. I'm looking for an advice. Me and my partner, we want to launch up a startup with a social impact goal. We want to enable the craftsmanship sector in Lebanon because we do believe that it is a sector in need of disruption, and we see that there are big opportunities here. So for a startup, for example, like us, that is now at IG and seed stage, that has finalized its financial model and business plan. So my question is, where can a startup like this look for funds? You know that the situation in Lebanon is quite challenging. So if there was a time before where there would be, for example, opportunities for a startup at seed stage, now we find ourselves in a situation where we really don't know where to look.
Yeah, I can imagine finding finance as a startup is challenging as such, and I can imagine that in Lebanon there's an extra complexity to that level. Maybe in more general terms, Zainab, what would your advice be in where to look? So maybe not naming names, but what could be the opportunities to look at? Do you have some input on that?
Yes, I mean I know more the Tunisian ecosystem, so I don't know in Lebanon where to look for, but in general, yes, just as I said, look for advice. I mean, there is incubation program that starts from the ideation early stage.
We have been accepted in an accelerator program in Beirut, which is called Smart-IZA, and we did all the workshops, and we're followed by coaches, and now we are at the point where the tough gets going. I mean, the challenging part has started where we need to start pitching to get funds. So the question is, in Lebanon, and where can we start looking? Maybe in the MENA region, there are more opportunities than in Lebanon.
I think there are a few. Shall I jump in just quickly? I mean, I think, I suspect there are other Lebanese people here who can also throw out some ideas, but Katja, I mean, Flat 6 exists in Lebanon. Berry Tech we have a seed cycle, although you might be early stage, but pretty, colorful space. So again, if you want, we can take it offline to see if there's to kind of keep your eyes open. And also grant funding is really helpful in those early stages. And Ashoka, there are other players who are supporting social entrepreneurs to get slightly more significant capital in hand to be able to get going.
Yeah, if there was a time we would be able to put our own capital. You know, now it's,
I know,
we feel like squeezed because even the family, the friends, and the fools are not available.
No, but there is an ecosystem around. So
happy to connect.
Yes.
Of
Exactly.
Aside, Katya, and provide some insights and
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Roy. And I think maybe also so the people at MedWaves will have some ideas and introductions that they can share and take it offline. I'm almost find it a bit of a pity because we finally get this conversation going in an interactive level, but we already should acknowledge that we also got to the end of this conversation. I'd like to thank you everybody for your questions. Special thanks to Mirna and Zainab for sharing their valuable insights. And I hand back over to Florian, I think.
Yes.
Great.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, Martijn. Thanks to everybody who had questions. Thanks to Mirna and Zainab, obviously, for answering and for sharing their knowledge. I noted down 3 words from this conversation that were there at the very beginning. There was perseverance, staying focused, and being a good listener. I think we have a very nice group of perseverant people, of people who stayed focused and who were good listeners. And I hope we really could convey some interesting knowledge, some good practices, and also a bit technical background for you guys to understand investing for impact better, to understand the investor's mind better. And I see a lot of emails coming into the chat, so it's also nice to see that connections are being made. So I would like to thank MedWaves on behalf of VBPA that we again got the opportunity to run this masterclass with our 2 wonderful speakers, and also a special thanks to my colleague Martijn, who hosted the discussions now towards the end. A big thank you to all the participants. Obviously, I believe you had a very long day already, and I would like to hand over to my friends from MedWaves to close not only this afternoon session, but to close the day. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, allow me to slip in first, just for 20 seconds. The emails are going to be lost with my attention span. So is it possible to share something in common at your level, please? Just for the sake of the conversations that want to be had.
Yes, I mean, we can share the materials that we have, and I'll be in touch with MedWaves to make sure that you can all stay connected.
Cheers.
Okay, thank you very much, Florian. Well, thank you very much, FPA, for your work. It was a really brilliant and I would say very enlightening masterclass, and I'm sure that all the switchers that have been here today attending this masterclass, they have made the best of it. It was really a very, very interesting conversation, especially at the very end of this masterclass. From my side, I would like to conclude the whole event, the Switchers Talk. Thank you, first of all of you, all the switchers that have attended this event, and hoping that, as I said before, it was really enriching for you and it was worth being attended. And also I hope to see you soon, hopefully in person. And also I hope that we can meet together next year for the 3rd edition of this event. Thank you very much and take care. Bye.